She was supposed to be the new it girl of Berkeley's arts department. Until, that is, she'd carelessly stumbled onto a pirate ship and been press-ganged into service. For the past few days, ever since receiving the task list from that evil, black-hearted capitalist, her boss, Mr. Kevin Zhao, Isabella Zhao had been burying herself in the art studio. The man might be a monster, but she had to earn her salary. So she drew by day and drew by night. She didn't even have time to go to the dining hall, asking friends to bring her food directly to the studio. Perched on a small stool, she'd hastily shovel food into her mouth, her eyes still glued to the draft on her easel, lost in thought. If her meals were an afterthought, sleep was a forgotten luxury. Isabella hadn't had a proper night's rest in days. The crushing weight of a worker's responsibility filled her mind with a single thought: progress. Knowing that today was Monday, and that her black-hearted boss of the same surname would likely come for an inspection, she'd gritted her teeth and pulled an all-nighter to finish the drafts. The result was that by this afternoon, her hair was a mess, her face was smudged with charcoal and paint, and she looked like a stray cat that had rolled in an artist's palette. Even the watercolors couldn't hide the dark circles under her eyes. A calico cat plus a panda. A calico panda. No wonder Leo was startled. The Isabella Zhao he remembered was, by all accounts, quite the looker, someone who, by a certain person's standards, would be rated awesome plus. But now, as she looked up, revealing that smudged face and those raccoon eyes, who would recognize her as the 9 out of 10 freshman girl of the arts department, Leo cautiously sized up his one and only employee. "What happened to you?" he asked. "Do you not sleep?" A guide on how to infuriate a beautiful woman in one sentence. Hearing Leo's question, Isabella nearly choked. Her almond-shaped eyes widened, fixing him with a furious glare. You have a nerve to ask me that?" she sputtered, her voice trembling with sorrow. "This is all your fault. Pushing for updates every day. Asking me 3 times a day. I told you I'm drawing. But I'm just one person. How can I be that fast?" As she spoke, her eyes started to well up, and tears began to glitter. Even a guy as dense as Leo couldn't handle a girl cry. He quickly tried to comfort her. Don't cry. I know you've been working hard. I actually came up with a way to lighten your workload on my way over." Isabella's tears paused, hovering on her lashes. She sniffled. "Lighten it? How?" Leo waved his hand magnanimously. "I'll cut your weekly salary by 1/3, and your workload by 1/3. Perfectly reasonable, right?" Isabella froze on the spot, staring blankly at the heartless capitalist before her. The tears that had paused now streamed down her face. "Reasonable, my ass. Where is that reasonable? You just want to exploit me." A man made of titanium, with some understanding of comfort, but not much. Her crying sent Leo into another flustered panic. Don't cry. We can talk this out. Here, wipe your tears." Spotting a tissue nearby, he grabbed it and handed it to her. Here, dry your eyes." After a moment, Isabella managed to stifle her sobs. She took the tissue, wiping her tears as she spoke in a choked voice. "I've been drawing my heart out. I'm earning every cent of my salary, but I can't just rush it. Quality is important too. I followed your requirements, and for every character design, I have to be satisfied with it myself before I can even consider it done. See for yourself." She gestured toward the easel with her chin. Only then did Leo shift his gaze. On the easel was a stack of drafts. The top one was a portrait of Sunner from Battle Through the Heavens. Dressed in a pale green gown, she had an ethereal air, her slender, graceful curves perfectly outlined. Her features were delicate and captivating, her aura otherworldly, and best of all were those long, pale legs, subtly visible beneath the hem of her dress. It was a perfect match for the image Leo had in his mind. He picked up the stack and flipped through the next few pages. Medusa, the little fairy doctor, Nalan Yinran. The series of character portraits were all stunningly rendered, each capturing the unique essence of the character, whether elegant, pure, seductive, or aloof. She had precisely nailed each one's personality. And they had legs, curves, everything. As Leo examined the artwork, Isabella, still dabbing her eyes, added in a wounded tone, "To meet your standards, I even went and read the original web novel. I studied the description of every character, paying attention to all the details. I didn't skip a single chapter. But then, the novel turned out to be really good. I got completely hooked, and then I forgot to sleep again." Her voice broke again, and her eyes reddened. Why did the author have to write so well? And why does he love cliffhangers so much? After I finished the latest chapter, I couldn't sleep because I needed to know what happened next. So I got even less rest. Leo didn't know whether to laugh or cry. So, More than half the reason she wasn't sleeping was because she was binge reading a web novel. But he had to admit, looking at the stack of drawings, he was incredibly satisfied. As expected of the arts department's it girl, talented and beautiful. Even if he hired a professional artist, they might not be much better than her. And anyone better would definitely be more expensive. Where else could he find an employee this diligent and easy to fool? He had struck gold. Naturally, he had to take good care of her. Leo's mind raced, and he quickly made a decision. It's fine. Drafts of this quality can basically skip the initial stage and be considered final versions. If you can maintain this level of quality, we can extend the deadline. Let's double the original project timeline. He thought for a moment, then added, and you don't have to do it all by yourself. If you know other suitable candidates, you can recruit them on my behalf. That will help share some of the pressure. You could be the team lead and have your subordinates do the work for you. Isabella, who had been wiping her tears, froze. She looked up, her eyes wide with disbelief. Me, a team lead? Leo nodded, his expression solemn and righteous. That's right. You're the #1 employee of the art team, a company veteran. Stick with me, and you'll go places. Wherever I get a meal, you'll get a bowl to wash. No, I mean, follow me, and I guarantee you'll make a name for yourself. He was a natural at selling dreams, an essential skill for any black-hearted capitalist. And when faced with a simple, gullible employee like Isabella, it was exceptionally effective. Claiming he had to catch the campus shuttle was, of course, just an excuse. Sensing trouble, Leo had bolted, running all the way out of the building. He could still faintly hear the tragic, indignant cries of one Isabella, Zhao, echoing from upstairs. He breathed a sigh of relief. Good thing he was fast. Who could have known? He was just trying to be helpful, grabbing a tissue so she could wipe her tears and clean her face, and he just so happened to grab a rag someone used to wipe their canvas. It was just like that time he'd accidentally shoulder-tossed her 3 times in a row. It was all just a series of unfortunate coincidences. The only conclusion was that he and his art department star employee were cosmically incompatible. He was clearly bad luck for her. Thinking about it, Leo did feel a little guilty. Ever since she'd met him, nothing good seemed to happen to Isabella. She finally gets a job, works herself to the bone, and nearly collapses from exhaustion. He really did feel bad. Besides, she was the arts department's it girl with a legion of admirers. If they found out he'd bullied and exploited their goddess like this, wouldn't they form a mob and come after him? On that note, it seemed he owed his best friend, Kevin Zhao, an even bigger apology. He took out his phone and sent a text to Kevin, who was miles away in Portland. Full of remorse, he offered a friendly warning. Next time you come to Berkeley, you should probably keep a low profile. Kevin quickly replied, Don't worry, Leo, I get it. Keep my identity a secret, right? I'm not like those freshmen from Northwood High. Next time I'm at Berkeley, I definitely won't tell anyone I'm from Northwood. He sounded so confident, like a seasoned veteran. Leo nodded, then sent another text. You should probably also avoid telling people your name is Kevin Zhao. The text left Kevin stunned for a full 30 seconds. Finally, a reply came back. A string of question marks, followed immediately by a frantic phone call. The moment Leo answered, his best friend's panicked voice shot through the receiver. Leo, what the hell did you do with my name? Leo tried to soothe him. Calm down. We're brothers. Would I ever do anything to sell you out? Kevin paused. Then his voice grew even more terrified. Holy shit. Why does that make me even more nervous? Seriously, how much trouble did you get me into? Leo thought for a moment. It's not that big of a deal. He mentally estimated the number of Isabella's suitors and asked, By the way, how many guys can you take in a fight? Kevin was baffled. He swallowed hard. A 1. Maybe 2 if I really go for it. Bro, what are you talking about? Leo went silent, then offered a new plan. You should probably start working on your cardio. Kevin. After teasing his friend, Leo remembered he had something serious to ask. By the way, do you play games much these days? Kevin paused. Games? You mean the kind my girlfriend and I play, or the kind you play at LAN Center? Leo's face darkened. The LAN Center kind, obviously. What you and Tessa do is none of my business. What Claire and I do is way more advanced than whatever you two are up to. Did you know our friendship vibrating bed has 7 settings? Kevin finally got it. Oh yeah, I play. When I'm out with my girlfriend, I'm at the LAN Center with my roommates. You have no idea how chill our classes are, Leo. Tons of free time. One day it's World of Warcraft, the next it's Counter-Strike, then it's Maple Story. Hell, even our advisor raids with us. Leo nodded. Good. Then I need you to do something for me. When you have time, get some guys together at the LAN Center and try out all the most popular browser-based games on the market. Play through each one, get a feel for them. Then have your friends write up some reviews for me. Pros, cons, maybe even a ranking. Kevin was confused. What do you need that for? Explaining would be too complicated, so Leo kept it simple. I have my reasons. I'll tell you later. Just do this for me. I'll send you $2,000 for expenses, and as a thank you. Kevin burst out laughing. Come on, Leo, don't be like that. We're brothers. You don't need to pay me for a small favor like this. A word from you is enough. What 2,000? Wait, how much? The number finally registered. 2,000. Yeah, Leo confirmed. If it's not enough, let me know. I can make it 3. Even with best friends, you couldn't just take their help for granted. Business was business. Kevin was clearly stunned. Holy shit. 2 or 3 grand, just like that. Leo, did you strike it rich? Wait a minute. Did you sell your body to the class president? Bro, even if you're living off her, you need to show some restraint. He immediately launched into a heartfelt lecture. Leo's face was once again a storm cloud. Suddenly, he felt zero guilt about pinning all of Isabella's problems on his best friend. After the initial outburst, however, Kevin's tone grew serious. Seriously, Leo, you don't have to. If you're asking me for help, it must be important. As your brother, I might not have many skills, but if you need me, I'm there. You don't need to pay me for a small task like this. If you did, it would be an insult. It was rare to hear Kevin Zhao, the big shot of Northwood High, sound so earnest. Leo couldn't help but feel a warmth spread through his chest. All right, thanks, man. Next time you're in the area, I'll treat you to a nice meal. Kevin laughed heartily. Deal. But you don't have to go all out, we're good. His voice suddenly dropped to a conspiratorial whisper. But hey, I heard Berkeley has an arts department full of gorgeous girls. Next time you gotta introduce me, let me feast my eyes. Leo readily agreed. No problem. I'll introduce you to their girl. Kevin was floored then ecstatic. Holy shit. Leo, you have those kind of connections? You're the man. It's nothing, Leo said humbly. You could say they're your connections, too. After hanging up, Leo didn't take the campus shuttle back to the old campus. He had arranged to meet with David Chung over the weekend to check on Happy Nest before its official launch. He hailed a cab at the new campus gate, gave the driver the address, and the car set off. Happy Nest's office was on Wanning Road in the city's old district. Unlike the newly developed areas with their clusters of gleaming high-rises, Wanning Road was mostly filled with old, low-rise buildings. The occasional vintage Western-style house interspersed among them added a touch of antique charm. Happy Nest had rented the second floor of a small, 3-story house. Just a single floor. David Ching knew he was coming and had asked Penny Fong, the planning director, to meet him downstairs. When the sophisticated woman, who was around 27 or 28, saw Leo again, her expression was one of pleasant surprise and warmth. But Leo felt like she had something else on her mind. She immediately linked her arm with his, guiding him upstairs as she filled him in. We've been waiting for you, little President Lin. We're in the final stages of the launch, and President Chung and the team have been pulling all-nighters, testing everything repeatedly. But we're still not completely confident. Having you here is a huge relief. Ever since he'd agreed to be Happy Nest's chief strategic officer, her form of address had changed. Before it was Leo, now it was little President Lin. To be fair, being called that by a mature, alluring professional woman in such an intimate way would have sent most guys' egos through the roof. But Leo Wallace was not most guys. A man of steel, he never accepted temptation from anyone but his girlfriend. Without changing his expression, he smoothly withdrew his arm from her grasp. You're too kind. Let's go up and take a look. A honey trap? Sorry, but he was forged in the crucible of Claire Sterling's daily, thousand-faceted charms. A woman of your caliber, at best, is worth 2 Sarah Lyns. Not even worth mentioning. Penny was taken aback by his action. A flash of surprise crossed her eyes, and she bit her lip gently before breaking into another radiant smile. All right, let's head up. Arriving at the second-floor office of Happy Nest, Leo took in the entire headquarters at a glance. The space was no more than 2,000 square feet, with one office for the boss and a small conference room. The rest of the main area was cluttered with a dozen or so workstations. That was the entire company. There were just over 10 people inside. Some were hunched over their computers, furiously typing. Others were gathered in small groups, smoking and brainstorming, the air thick and hazy. It was less a company and more a small studio. Leo recalled a news report from his past life. In its early days, Happy Nest had only 6 core employees. The scene before him seemed to confirm it. Aside from a few key people, the rest were likely regular staff. And yet, in this fledgling spring of 2008, no one could have imagined that from this messy, smoke-filled, shabby little studio The most ferocious dark horse of the domestic internet scene would emerge, creating a legend of 70 million registered users in a single year. David Chung was frowning, deep in a serious discussion with Owen Wu, his deputy director of programming, and a few other key technicians. Hearing footsteps, he turned and saw Penny leading Leo upstairs. His eyes instantly lit up. "Leo, you're here?" His brow unfurrowed, and a smile spread across his face as he hurried over. "Come, let me introduce you. Yufei mit Owen. These are the other founding members of Happy Nest, all of whom I've trained myself over the years." He affectionately took Leo's hand and turned to address his team. "This is Leo Wallace, our future CSO, Chief Strategic Officer. I've mentioned him to you all many times, so you know who he is. Call him President Lin." The Happy Nest employees looked at Leo, standing next to their boss, and responded with friendly greetings. "President Lin." Their eyes scanned him, filled with a mixture of surprise at his age and appearance, along with a healthy dose of skepticism. They had indeed heard a lot about him. Their own boss, along with Penny and Owen, had practically sung his praises. The advice and suggestions he'd passed along regarding the Happy Nest project had been remarkably insightful, leaving them all in awe and curiosity about their new CSO. But seeing him in person, this President Lin was impossibly young. Could those brilliant, game-changing insights, those mature and sophisticated strategic proposals, have really come from a young man who couldn't be more than 20? Leo could feel their gazes on him, could sense their doubt and disbelief. He wasn't bothered. He just waved a hand and smiled. "Don't call me President Lin. Leo is fine." But David Chung was insistent. "Absolutely not. You're the Chief Strategic Officer. In terms of authority, you're almost my equal. President Lin is perfectly appropriate. Besides, in our industry, age doesn't matter. Skill is what counts." David paused, his eyes sweeping over his team of young, ambitious elites. "If any of you aren't convinced about President Lin, now's your chance. While he's here today, you can challenge him, put him to the test." His words ignited a fire in the young team, their eyes fixed on Leo, burning with eagerness. A pretty young woman who looked to be in her early 20s, fresh out of college, was the first to step forward. She raised an eyebrow at Leo. "Little President Lin, I'm Hannah Ling, Berkeley class of '03, currently a member of the Happy Nest tech team. May I ask for your guidance?" A man of 26 or 27 followed. "Count me in." Wang Yi, from the planning department. "I have a few ideas I'd like to run by you, President Lin." When he arrived, the sky was painted with the streaks of sunset. When he left, it was full of stars. David Chung personally walked Leo downstairs again. Standing in front of the small building, he looked at his new Chief Strategic Officer and couldn't help but sigh with a smile. "Those kids upstairs, they usually don't even fully listen to me. Today, you completely won them over." Happy Nest was a startup, and though the team was small, it was composed of elites. Each one had been handpicked by him. Young, energetic, and inevitably a little arrogant. But what had just happened upstairs? Leo had, in just half an hour, effortlessly dismantled every question and challenge thrown at him, as if he were debating a crowd of scholars. The latter half of the session had turned into something of a celebrity fan meeting, or more accurately, a professor lecturing his students. The group of prodigies, all from top universities and major tech companies, had transformed into diligent pupils, scribbling notes furiously, afraid to miss a single detail. They had been practically tripping over themselves to ask more questions. Hannah Ling and Wang Yi, usually the proudest of the bunch, looked like they wanted to glue themselves to him. Of course, being a beautiful woman had its advantages. Hannah had unceremoniously kicked Wang Yi aside and monopolized Leo's Q&A time for a full 5 minutes. Thinking of his company's brightest star and her eager, excited demeanor just now, David Chung chuckled again. He looked at Leo. "That was the first time Hannah has ever been that impressed by a guy. I think she's a few years ahead of you at Berkeley, right? You're senior. I think she's interested in you now. How about I play matchmaker?" Leo shot him a sideways glance. Was this old man bored, trying to set another honey trap? "No need. I have a girlfriend." But David seemed genuinely enthusiastic about playing Cupid. "You can always change girlfriends if you find someone more suitable. Let me tell you, Hannah was the it girl of the electrical engineering department back at Berkeley. She had a ton of guys chasing her. Most people wouldn't even have a chance." Leo's mouth twitched. "An it girl?" Just this morning, another it girl had been worked to tears by him. In this new life, he seemed to be encountering a surplus of them. Besides, his girlfriend was the campus queen. Why would he ever consider a downgrade? An image of his girlfriend's stunning, coolly beautiful face flashed in his mind, followed by the thought of what she looked like when she was jealous. Leo turned to David Chung and offered his new business partner a piece of friendly advice. You should probably never say that again. If my girlfriend heard you, there could be trouble. David was unfazed, laughing heartily. What, is she the jealous type? Does she have a mighty roar? Leo looked at him. The brilliant founder of Happy Nest seemed to have a death wish. A mighty roar was one thing. But had he ever heard of a retired Special Forces badass who handled problems for the Sterling family's daughter? After some friendly banter, the conversation turned back to business. David's expression grew serious again as he sincerely thanked Leo. Even after offering him the CSO position and a significant portion of the company's initial stock, hearing Leo so effortlessly pinpoint the various detailed issues with Happy Nest product today had left him, the company's founder and CEO, not just impressed and amazed, but utterly thrilled. This stock and position were worth every penny. Only a true top-tier professional could understand the weight of Leo's casual words. Every syllable was a pearl of wisdom, priceless. In response to David's gratitude, Leo just smiled and waved his hand. Don't mention it. We're in the same boat now. It's only right that I do my best. Besides, the product was already very mature. I just helped give it an extra push. David's eyes shone. But sometimes for a product to go from successful to legendary, that final push is everything. I always felt Happy Nest was missing something. Now, you've supplied it. Leo met David's gaze. They looked at each other, a silent understanding passing between them, and shook hands firmly once more. Have you set a launch date? Yes. Next Tuesday, March 18th. A taxi pulled over. Before getting in, Leo gave David a casual wave. Next Tuesday, March 18th, he said coolly. I'll be waiting to witness a legend. His voice drifted into the night air. The spring evening breeze was warm and gentle, but his words seemed to infuse it with a bold, exhilarating confidence. He took the cab back to Berkeley's old campus. By the time he reached the East Gate, it was almost 10 o'clock. He paid the driver, got out, and walked onto campus, pulling out his phone to text his girlfriend. As he looked up, his peripheral vision caught a familiar figure on a bench along the tree-lined path. He froze. A girl was sitting there, her silhouette long and slender under the soft, yellow glow of a street lamp, which illuminated her familiar, stunning profile. He didn't know how long she had been waiting. She seemed to be fighting off sleep, her head propped up on her hand, nodding down bit by bit. It was a heart-wrenching sight. Leo walked over quickly. Hearing his footsteps, the girl looked up, her expression instinctively cool and guarded. But the moment she recognized him, the guard vanished, her brow relaxed, and a smile bloomed on her face. You're back. Leo nodded. Yeah. Looking at his girlfriend, who had been waiting for who knows how long, a storm of complex emotions churned within him, leaving him at a loss for words. Claire seemed to guess what he was thinking. She smiled and gently took his hand. I didn't wait long. You said you'd be back late, so I figured you'd be here around now. I timed it perfectly. Her tone was casual, but the coldness of her hand in his betrayed the truth. The emotions inside him swelled. It was warmth, but it made his throat tighten. Leo took a shallow breath, trying to calm himself. Don't wait like this again. Claire stood up, her tall, slender figure allowing her to meet his gaze by just slightly tilting her chin. No, I will. Leo felt a playful annoyance. Not gonna listen. A flirtatious light danced in Claire's eyes, and the corners of her mouth lifted. Nope. What are you going to do about it? The next moment, he growled. Then I'll have to punish you. Without giving her a chance to react, he leaned in and pressed his lips firmly against hers. Beside the campus path, under the dim yellow light of the street lamp, the young couple's figures merged into one, warm and passionate. A passing student, returning from a late-night snack, caught sight of the scene and walked away with his eyes wide in shock. Jesus Christ, are those two now camping out of the school gate to slaughter us single people? Where are the school administrators? Do something. 3-chapter update. Please vote and send gifts. The night was cool, the moon hanging in the branches. Under its pale light, the young couple walked hand in hand across the campus. Leo didn't go into detail about his work with Claire. It would be impossible to explain anyway. He couldn't just say, your husband is a reincarnator, so everything he touches turns to gold. It was better to wait until he had results and surprise her with the good news all at once. Leo didn't say, and Claire didn't ask. She had a vague idea of what he was up to. In her past life, she had been a powerful businesswoman. In this life, she was in love, and for once, she was happy to enjoy being a domestic girlfriend. Whether his little venture succeeded or not didn't matter to her. That had nothing to do with her being a reincarnator. Reincarnated or not, she was still the daughter of the Sterling family. She might be lacking in other areas, but she certainly wasn't lacking in money. If things ever got tight, she could always go home and hit up her old man for some cash. In both lives, she had been fiercely independent and rarely asked Charles Sterling for anything. But in this life, their father-daughter relationship was much warmer and closer than before. If she did ask, Chairman Sterling would probably be moved to tears. My daughter is finally asking her father for help. One other thing. Claire suddenly remembered she needed to go back to the Concord, Unit 1. She still had to send her father the collection of rare liquors Charles had been hoarding. The young couple walked on under the moonlight, shoulder to shoulder. Even without much conversation, a silent understanding flowed between them. A simple glance, a gentle squeeze of the hand, was all it took to know what the other was thinking. They already had the comfortable chemistry of a long-married couple. Before long, they passed by the overlook on the old campus. Glancing at the dark, quiet grove of trees, Claire turned to Leo, her expression placid. Doesn't look like anyone's here. Leo peered into the trees and nodded, his face perfectly straight. You're right. No one. The girl mused. If there's no one here, do you think the grove gets lonely? Leo understood instantly, replying with righteous conviction. Of course it does. Well, since the matter had been raised, it was only reasonable for the young couple to venture inside to help the grove with its loneliness, perhaps by discussing life and dreams in the dark. That night, when Leo returned to room 520, his roommates were all on their computers or phones. Hearing the door open, they looked over. All three of them stared. Hey, Leo, why are your lips swollen again? A second later, Leon paused, confused. Wait, why did I say again? Leo was about to explain when the ever-quick Marco and Dylan cut him off in tragic unison. Don't say it. We know the answer. Damn it, the power couple's makeout sessions are getting more intense. When did Berkeley get like this? They must have picked up bad habits back in Northwood. Later, after lights out, the four roommates were all in their beds. Marco, Dylan, and Leon were chatting across the dark room. Starting with the web novel they were all following, Battle Through the Heavens, animatedly discussing the latest plot developments. Leo chimed in occasionally, treating it as some convenient, close-range market research. Then a text from Claire came through. Leo shamelessly abandoned his roommates and started texting his girlfriend under the covers. After they finally said their goodnights, he was about to put his phone away when he heard Marco's voice from the opposite bunk. Leo, hey Leo, did you hear what we were just talking about? No, what's up? Leo replied. Dylan excitedly jumped in. Our department is having an intramural basketball tournament this week. Leon and Marco already signed up. You in? Leo paused. A basketball tournament? He learned from his roommates that the intramural tournament was a tradition in the humanities department. Apparently, in previous years, the humanities team had consistently ranked last in the university-wide tournament, which had greatly annoyed the department heads. So they had decreed that every year, the department would hold its own internal tournament, with every major required to field team. Even if they couldn't produce skilled players, at least it would build character. They couldn't just be bookworms. But the humanities department was mostly composed of liberal arts majors, predominantly female. Each class had few male students, and even fewer who could play basketball well. Every year, the class advisors had to beg and plead just to scrape together a full team. The games themselves were often disasters. However, things had started to change in the last couple of years. The humanities department had begun offering a few spots for athletic recruits. Now, many classes had 1 or 2 skilled basketball players, which dramatically raised the level of competition. For this year's advertising majors, however, this was not good news. The history and journalism departments each have at least 1 athletic recruit, both at the national level, Leo explained to Claire the next day as they had lunch in the dining hall. I heard the sociology department has a guy who almost went pro, but our advertising class? Not a single athletic recruit this year. On paper, we're probably going to be dead last. Claire nodded in understanding. So your class advisor must be pretty stressed. Leo nodded, his mouth full. He is. The other classes finalized their rosters ages ago. Some even brought in coaches from the athletics department. Our class still can't even get 5 guys. Hearing how good the other teams are, everyone's a little intimidated. They don't want to get embarrassed. Claire smiled. Your dorm signed up 2 guys right off the bat. Leon and Marco are pretty brave. Leo, still focused on the fried pork chop on his plate, replied, Leon is just a stand-up guy. He heard it was for the honor of the class and didn't hesitate. Marco just wants a chance to show off in front of the girls. Claire raised an eyebrow, surprised. Is Marco that good at basketball? Leo shook his head and sighed. He's already researching the most heroic-looking poses to get injured in, so he can fall gracefully into a girl's arms. Claire. It was rare for her to be speechless, but she had to admit that sounded exactly like something Marco would come up with. Finally, Claire looked up at Leo, a glimmer in her eyes. So, what about you? Initially, Leo had no interest in the department's basketball tournament. For one, the sense of class pride and unity wasn't as strong in college as it was in high school, and unlike Marco, he had no desire to show off. More importantly, he was swamped this week. He had to keep communicating with David Chung to ensure a smooth launch for Happy Nest, while also planning the next steps for his Battle Through the Heavens browser game. He was so busy that he was barely keeping up with his daily debriefing sessions with Claire. Projects like strawberry planting had been neglected for days. He had zero motivation to play basketball. So last night, when his roommates had tried to persuade him, his answer had been a firm no. But then, today, Claire suddenly took an interest in the matter. You should join, his campus queen girlfriend suggested, a rare and proactive proposal. Leo was surprised. You want me to sign up? Claire nodded, resting her chin on her hands as she looked at her boyfriend, her eyes unwavering. You look really hot when you play basketball. It was an incredibly rare compliment to hear from the great Claire Sterling. Leo almost burst with joy, but he managed to maintain a cool facade. Even if you say that, I'm still really busy right now. The next second, the girl suddenly leaned in, whispering something in his ear. The keywords seemed to involve if you sign up and remote control. A moment later, she was sitting back in her seat, composed and nonchalant. Leo, however, swallowed hard. His eyes were wide with shock, but he managed to keep his voice steady. Well, on the other hand, and so it was settled. When he told his advisor, Alex, he naturally adopted a righteous and heroic tone. For the honor of our class, I'm definitely playing in this tournament. Alex, who had been tearing his hair out over the basketball team, was moved to tears. He slapped Leo on the shoulder. Great. You, my boy, have guts. And principles. You guys in room 520 are all stand-up guys. It was true. For a single intramural tournament, 3 of the advertising class's 5 players came from room 520. Even Dylan had been tempted to sign up. He might be short, but Ryota Miyagi in Slam Dunk was under 5'7", right? Coach, I want to play basketball. The thought was nice, but unfortunately, this morning in the stairwell, a girl had asked him for directions. Poor Dylan had turned beet red, stammered, and, in his flustered retreat, had accidentally fallen down the stairs. Even then, he hadn't stopped to check for injuries, simply fleeing the scene in disgrace, leaving the girl utterly bewildered. She was just asking for directions. Was such a dramatic reaction really necessary? The fall wasn't serious, but he had twisted his ankle. Dylan sighed dramatically. The doctor said I have to rest for a week. I'll have to miss the tournament. Marco, applying a cold pack to his ankle, shot him a disdainful look. With that condition of yours, you're going to miss out on beautiful women for the rest of your life. In the end, the class managed to recruit 2 other guys who knew how to play, finally scraping together a 5-man roster. The massive, tank-like Leon was naturally the center. Marco volunteered for small forward, and Leo took the shooting guard position. With the team assembled, they scheduled a few practice sessions at the courts to warm up and build some chemistry. But this warm-up ended up causing quite a stir. It might have been 5 guys on the court, but it felt like 100 people were there because their cheering section was enormous. Before the game even started, Marco had launched a massive promotional campaign in their class, solemnly declaring that logistical support was crucial and, for the honor of the class, everyone needed to participate. He managed to convince a huge group of girls to come watch their practice. Meanwhile, the girls from room 205, who were close with the guys from 520, heard about the commotion and came over as well. At first, when it was just Leo's team playing a casual scrimmage against some other students, they didn't attract much attention. But when the girls from the advertising class arrived in a cheerful, chattering flock, holding custom-made banners and signs that Marco had ordered, a murmur of excitement spread through the courts. When Quinn Liu, Jay Jiang, and Molly Tang from room 205 appeared, the murmur grew into a wave of commotion. Many of the guys playing nearby couldn't help but stare. Holy shit, are you guys just practicing? Or, is this the national championship? What's with the huge entourage? And then, Claire Sterling arrived. It's no exaggeration to say that when her cool, stunning figure appeared on the court, the entire area fell silent for a moment. Every student playing basketball instinctively stopped, staring dumbfounded at the approaching girl. The campus queen, Claire Sterling, was here too. If it had stopped there, the students of Berkeley, who had been subjected to countless public displays of affection from the power couple, might have been able to handle it. However, the next sight was what truly turned them to stone. The campus queen walked to the sidelines and, like a magician, produced a sign from behind her back. On it were 3 large words, G-O-L-E-O, and underneath, a line that was even more heart-stopping. from his family. The sight nearly made Leo, who was warming up on the court, throw out his back. He jogged over sheepishly, his face flushing as he whispered to his girlfriend, "Isn't this a little much?" But Claire just smiled. "Not at all. I think it's just right. Besides," as she spoke, her gaze swept across the area, taking in the girls from the advertising class. One by one, they instinctively shrank back, avoiding her eyes. Claire's smile widened. "It also serves to intimidate any potential rivals. Two birds, one stone. More tonight. Happy National Day, everyone. Remember to vote and send gifts." A simple, friendly scrimmage had turned into a massive spectacle. The students playing against Leo's team were completely baffled. Are these guys really from the advertising program? Their cheering section is more impressive than the performing arts department. Their confidence was shaken. They played timidly, their eyes constantly darting toward the sidelines. The sight of Claire's sterling sign, in particular, made their hearts, and then their hands, tremble. One player, distracted, had the ball stolen by Marco just as he crossed half-court. Marco quickly launched a counterattack. The advertising students on the sideline erupted in cheers. The girls from room 205 were amazed, and Quinn Lou shouted excitedly, "You're the man, Marco." Her voice was clear and melodious. On the court, Marco was ecstatic. "Oh, it was nothing, he got distracted." The ball was immediately stolen back by a defender who had rushed back. Another counterattack. Marco stared dumbfounded. "What the?" A collective gasp went through the advertising students. The girls from room 205 covered their faces and turned away, pretending not to know him. It was too embarrassing. The opposing player dribbled to the basket, ready for a spectacular layup. But then a massive, gorilla-like figure leaped into the air, casting a huge shadow over him. Slap! A hand swatted the ball away. A perfect block from Leon. Another wave of shocked cheers erupted from the sidelines. Molly Tang was so excited she was practically bouncing. "Beautiful!" she yelled, looking around proudly. "Did you see that? That's my boyfriend." The block had completely shut down their offense. The ball bounced on the court, but stayed inbounds, ricocheting away. It landed squarely in Leo's hands. "Leo!" yelled Marco, who had already turned and was sprinting toward the other end of the court. Without a moment's hesitation, Leo whipped the ball across the court in a lightning-fast pass. It was a perfect delivery. The ball flew across half the court and was caught by Marco. He was now near the three-point line. He faked a shot, drawing a defender who jumped up to block him. But Marco just grinned. It was a pump fake. He passed the ball behind him. Catch! The ball shot through the air, and the spectators' eyes followed. The next second, it was caught by another pair of hands. Somehow, Leo had already sprinted past half-court. He caught the ball and, in the same motion, drove to the three-point line at a 60-degree angle. He was wide open. He jumped and released the shot. The ball soared through the air in a perfect arc as everyone on the court watched wide-eyed. Swish! Nothing but net. 3 points. The sidelines exploded. The girls from the advertising class screamed and cheered. Yes! Their gazes all fixed on the tall, handsome figure on the court, their eyes practically glowing. "He's so hot." But just as the thought began to form, their eyes drifted to the girl on the sidelines, and their hopes died. He was hot, but he was taken, and his owner was not to be messed with. Even Lily Lou, the it girl of the humanities department, had been shut down. What chance did they have? Claire didn't care what anyone else was thinking. Standing on the sidelines, her eyes sparkled as she watched her boyfriend jog back toward her. Leo smiled and gave her a thumbs up. She smiled back, brought her hand to her lips, and blew him a kiss. That single kiss nearly made the guys on the adjacent court pop their eyes out of their sockets. They dropped their basketballs. Even the girls from room 205 were shocked. "Whoa, Claire, you're so bold now. What about your cool campus queen image?" Claire just smiled, unfazed. "What image? Right now, I'm a player's family." With his family watching, Leo's performance heated up, especially when he thought about the promise Claire had whispered to him at lunch. He thought about the friendship vibrating bed. He thought about the instructions Mr. Chien had given him for the remote control. Level 1, Level 2, Level 3, and then Level 7, Level 7, Level 7. The more he thought about it, the more divinely inspired he felt. His touch was perfect. He took another shot. Another three-pointer swished through the net. The crowd roared again. It was just a small scrimmage, so no one was keeping score. Leo's team played their hearts out, fueled by the constant cheers from the sidelines. When it was over, the opposing players came over, shook their hands with an air of relief, and practically fled. As they left, they couldn't help but feel a sense of tragedy. That was so hard, playing basketball while being force-fed a couple's PDA. What kind of psychological warfare is this? We're never playing against the advertising class again. After the game, drenched in sweat, Leo walked over to the sidelines. Claire was already there with a bottle of water, a sweet smile on her face. Thirsty? Here. Leo took the bottle, twisted off the cap, and chugged half of it down. Wiping his mouth, he turned to his girlfriend and grinned. How'd I do? Claire nodded, her expression noncommittal. Not bad. Then she looked at him again, a smile tugging at her lips. Pretty hot. No one dared to interrupt the couple's conversation. The girls from the advertising class swarmed the other players, showering them with praise and concern. Leon, in particular, who was tall and built like a hero after blocking at least 7 or 8 shots, was a center of attention. A few girls couldn't help but think, as a boyfriend, a guy like Leon wouldn't be bad at all. The next second, Molly Tang pushed her way through the crowd, puffing out her cheeks. What you all doing? He's my boyfriend. He's taken. After proudly declaring her sovereignty, she turned to Leon, her face breaking into a radiant smile. Wow, you were so handsome just now. Are you tired? Have a date cake. The date cake guy happily opened his mouth to accept the treat from his girlfriend. Another sweet couple. Only Marco was left standing alone. He walked off the court, looking around expectantly. Hello, isn't anyone going to check on me? I contributed to the team, too. Where are my female fans? Quinn Lu heard him and tossed him a bottle of water. Here, drink this and let's go. If we wait any longer, we'll miss the last bus back to Gotham. 3-chapter update. Remember to vote and send gifts. After the game, Leo went back to his dorm with his roommates, took a quick shower, changed, and headed out. Claire was waiting for him downstairs. He smiled, walked over, and took her hand. The young couple set off for the dining hall. They talked and laughed along the way, drawing envious and speculative glances from other students. What could he possibly be talking about with the great Claire Sterling? If it were me, I'd be charming her with witty remarks and classical references. I'd definitely be better at winning her heart than this Lynn guy. They were too far away to hear the couple's actual conversation. And it was a good thing, too. I played my part. Don't forget to keep your promise later. I know, the vibrating bed, right? What level do you want to try? I want to try them all. Wait a minute. How do you know how many levels there are? Huh, I tried it out myself last time. Claire Sterling, you tried something like that without me. So how was it? How was it? It was redacted for decency's sake. They arrived at the dining hall just in time. As they entered, they ran into some students from the art department council. Hey, Leo, one of them called out cheerfully. Then he looked closer, his expression shifting to concern. Whoa, Leo, are you okay? Your nose is bleeding. Leo hastily wiped his nose, glanced at the nonchalant Claire beside him, and forced a calm reply. I'm fine. Just been a little overheated lately. After dinner, the couple went for their customary walk around campus to digest. They happened to pass by the Overlook again. Righteously, they went in for a completely innocent stroll. When they emerged after discussing life and dreams, one of them had a few new red marks on his neck, and the other's collar was askew, her hair slightly tousled, a faint blush on her cheeks. Claire tucked a stray strand of hair behind her ear and looked up at her boyfriend, biting her lower lip with a hint of annoyance. You little pervert. Leo touched the marks on his neck, unfazed. Takes one to know one. Spring was in the air, stirring something restless in their hearts. After their walk, they reached Claire's dorm, and both were reluctant to part. Standing at the entrance, Claire stepped up onto the first step, turning to face him at eye level. She raised an eyebrow. Kiss me again. Leo had no objections. He leaned in expertly. He expected a routine goodbye kiss, but just as their lips were about to part, Claire suddenly grabbed his collar, pulled him back, and sealed his mouth with a much more forceful kiss. Caught off guard, Leo felt her teeth gently bite his lower lip, her tongue tracing its outline before the kiss deepened into something far more passionate and intense. It was enough to make his blood boil and his mind go blank. A long time later, they finally broke apart. It took Leo a moment to recover. He swallowed, still feeling dizzy and wanting more, his heart still racing. He opened his mouth, but he was too dazed to think of what to say. His throat felt incredibly dry. Claire's face was also flushed, as if rouged, making her look even more alluring. She took a breath and placed her hand on his chest, her slender fingers tracing circles over his heart. Go back now, and remember to miss me. They were simple parting words, but combined with the almost unconscious caress of her fingers, they made his heart pound even harder, his blood run hotter. Leo took a deep breath, forcing himself to nod calmly. Okay, good night. They locked eyes. Finally, with an immense effort of will, Leo turned and walked away with steady steps. But the moment he turned, his eyes went wide with shock. That vixen, She's going to be the death of me with her teasing. Who could possibly resist that? Only a modern-day saint like me. The modern-day saint immediately picked up his pace, practically sprinting back to his dorm. Even saints needed a cold shower to cool down. Meanwhile, at the entrance to the women's dorm, Claire watched her boyfriend's figure disappear into the distance. Only then did she let out a breath of relief. She realized her own body felt weak, her limbs tingling. She had to grip the railing to steady herself. Looking in the direction he had gone, she replayed the passionate kiss from a minute ago, her own bold advances. A blush of embarrassment spread from her neck to her ears. She bit her lip. Damn it, I really almost devoured that little fool just now. No, Claire, calm down. You've only been dating for a few months. Joking around is one thing, but being so forward is another. Besides, he's still just a young man. What are you, a woman with a mental age 10 years his senior, doing thinking such shameful thoughts? The great IC CEO from her past life would never admit she had been so overcome with passion. Claire quickly composed herself, her expression returning to its usual cool calm. She came to a logical conclusion. It wasn't her fault. It was this restless spring's fault. This spring was a bad influence. She would have Mr. Joe deal with it later. That night, back in his dorm, Leo immediately jumped into the shower. The other 3 members of room 520 were mystified. Showering again? Didn't you just shower before you went out? From behind a bathroom door came Leo's muffled explanation. It's hot. I got sweaty again. It was hot. The girl's soft body had been scorching, and he had gotten sweaty. Kissing her had made him break out in a sweat. After the cold shower, he felt a little calmer. He sat down at his desk, opened his laptop, and prepared to work for a bit, hoping to suppress his distracting thoughts. He opened the design document for the Battle Through the Heavens game, and, fighting to control his wandering mind, began to type. As he wrote, his thoughts inevitably drifted back to the scene at the women's dorm. His mind began to wander again, and the style of the text he was typing started to change. Just as he finished, Potato, the author, sent him a message on AAM, asking for updates on the game's design. Leo casually sent him what he had just written. Potato was silent for 3 minutes. Then, a cautious message appeared. Brother Lin, will this get past the censors? Even I wouldn't dare write my novel this graphically. By Wednesday morning, Leo had managed to push aside the previous night's lingering thoughts and regain his composure. During a break between classes, he revised the game design document for Battle Through the Heavens on his laptop. He sent the new version to Potato, who had been thoroughly scandalized the night before. Upon seeing the revised plan, Potato breathed a sigh of relief. He had genuinely thought his friend had been possessed by some malevolent spirit. The stuff he'd written, it would definitely attract a lot of players, wouldn't it? Ahem, no. It would be shut down by the FCC before it even got off the ground. Leo guessed what Potato was thinking and explained calmly. I was just joking around last night. This is the real version. Potato readily accepted the explanation. I thought so. But seriously, your writing yesterday had some real flair. If you ever quit game development, you could become a master of a certain genre of rural romance novels. Leo chuckled and typed back, I'll pass. Writing thousands of words every day without missing an update. Not everyone can handle that. He then steered the conversation back to business. By the way, I want to add some new elements to the design doc to diversify the upgrade systems in the game. See if they fit. For a browser game, the core element was its various upgrade systems. From items to cultivation realms, from weapons to special artifacts, the more things to upgrade, the more players had to look forward to. To put it bluntly, it meant more opportunities for big spenders to spend money. But Leo wasn't just adding things randomly. He had put a lot of thought into it, respecting the original novel's lore. Potato quickly gave his enthusiastic approval. No problem. I looked it over. The new Heavenly Flame names and descriptions you added are great. You've saved me a lot of work. I'll just use them in my novel, ha ha ha. He added, and that ancestral symbol concept? That's interesting too. I feel like I could even use that for a new book. Leo paused for a moment, then typed back nonchalantly, go for it. You can call your new book Martial Universe. Martial Universe? Potato mulled over the name. He was pleasantly surprised. Hey, that's a great name. It's right up my alley. Brother Lin, you've been a huge help to me on my creative journey. I'm definitely using that for my next book. Maybe I'll even name the main character after you. Let's call him Leo. At lunch, Leo ate with his roommates from 520. Claire's finance class was at the new campus today. The couple didn't need to be joined at the hip every single day, especially considering what had happened in front of her dorm last night. It was probably for the best that they had some space to cool down. Otherwise, things might really get out of hand. But during lunch, Leo received a picture message from Claire. It was a photo of her lunch at the new campus with Quinn and the others. The text was simple: eating, thinking of you. Marco, sitting next to him, caught a glimpse of the message and couldn't help but click his tongue. You two are really something else. Texting each other updates while you eat. Of course, Leo said calmly. But looking at the picture of her lunch and reading the text below it, his mind started to wander again. Eating. Thinking of him? Was she thinking of him, or thinking of eating him? No, calm down. Any more of this, and you'll get another nosebleed. As if on cue, the TV mounted on the dining hall wall was showing an Animal Planet special. The host's deep, magnetic voice filled the room. Spring has arrived. Nature awakens. And it is once again mating season. Leo couldn't help it. He blushed. Damn, talk about perfect timing. At the same moment, in the dining hall on the new campus, Claire looked at the text she had just sent and gently bit her lower lip. Thinking of him? Or thinking of eating him? Her fork and knife scraped unconsciously against her plate. Her mind flashed back to last night, to the way her fingers had traced circles on his chest. A jolt of excitement went through her, followed by a wave of embarrassment. I shouldn't have sent that. It's so mortifying. I wonder if that little fool will understand what I meant. Her phone buzzed. A picture message in reply. A picture message? Claire opened it curiously. The photo was of the TV screen in the old campus dining hall. It was showing Animal Planet. The caption at the bottom read, "It is once again mating season." The great, cool Claire Sterling's hand trembled, and her phone nearly fell onto the table. That huge pervert. He actually understood. Her roommates at the table looked over, then stared in surprise. Claire? Why is your face all red? That afternoon, back on the old campus, Leo's advertising class continued as usual. Before class, he sent a text to David Chung at Happy Nest, asking for help with registering a company. He was ready to accelerate the browser game project. The art department was in Isabella's capable hands. As team lead, she was earning a commission for every person she hired, and with her charm and popularity, finding talented artists from the arts department wouldn't be hard. He and Potato had already finalized the initial content plan. As for the programming department, he had talked to Owen Wu, Happy Nest Deputy Director of Programming, and asked for recommendations for reliable front-end and back-end developers. He was just waiting to hear back. Scrollverse had also sent over the IP licensing contract for Battle Through the Heavens. It was time to make things official. Having a registered company would give him a legitimate front when he went out to recruit talent and negotiate partnerships. Halfway through his afternoon class, David replied. He could have someone handle the registration. It was a small matter. He asked about Leo's initial investment, the type of company, and most importantly, the company name. Reading the text, Leo thought for a moment, then smiled as he typed his reply. Slaughter Entertainment. More to come. Working hard during the holiday. Please vote and send gifts. It all started last year during the Lovers Festival, when they bought matching couples' hats with the letters L and S from a small shop by the East Gate. That was when the Slaughter CP moniker was born. Later, at the LNS house, Mr. Chien had put up a plaque with their initials. Among their friends, it naturally became known as the Single Slaughterhouse. Leo liked the name. It felt right for his game company. It symbolized his hope that his Battle Through the Heavens game would go on to slaughter the competition and become a massive success. And Slaughter Entertainment was just one small piece of his business empire. The browser game was just a tool to generate seed money. In the future, he planned to follow Mr. Chien's example. The man's Gilded Phoenix Group seemed to own every business around the university. Once Leo had more capital, he would spread the Slaughter CP brand across all industries. He could have a whole Slaughter group. The logo could be a little shark. Cute. Now, that was something to look forward to. But while he dreamed of the future, he had to focus on the present. Before class ended, Leo texted his #1 beast of burden. No, his #1 general, on the new campus to check on the progress of the art team recruitment. The reply came quickly. Recruiting. Stop rushing me. The text was followed by a red-faced, angry emoji. Her boss, Mr. Kevin Zhao, had stopped pestering her about art drafts and was now on her case about hiring. For poor Isabella, the burden hadn't changed at all. In fact, it felt even heavier. When he had first told her she would be in charge of hiring, promising her $500 for every employee she brought on, she had been secretly thrilled. She thought she could finally make some extra cash and get one over on her scammer of a boss. But when she actually started the recruitment process, her conscience kicked in. Her noble morals wouldn't let her do a half-assed job. She was being paid to do this. She couldn't waste her boss's money. As detestable as he was, she, Isabella Zhao, had to do things right. So she changed her plans. She spent 2 sleepless nights developing a comprehensive set of hiring criteria and an interview plan, even creating a full set of interview questions. When a swarm of art students, drawn by her reputation, flocked to apply, Isabella was completely overwhelmed. She had to interview each one carefully, assessing their skills, afraid of missing out on a talented artist or accidentally hiring an unreliable one. The more she worked, the more exhausted and aggrieved she felt. Finally, she couldn't take it anymore and called him, her voice filled with tragic indignation. "This is exploitation. You said I could be the team lead, but you just found another way to pile more work on me. I haven't had a decent night's sleep in 3 days." Leo, casually munching on a date cake his roommate had given him, calmly reassured her over the phone. "With great power comes great responsibility. You're a team lead now. Soon, you'll be a department head." He dangled the new title, and for a moment, he could feel her resolve waver. A department head? Then she snapped back to reality, even angrier. "You're selling me dreams again. I'm telling you, I don't want to be the team lead anymore." She, Isabella Zhao, would not be fooled so easily again. The next second, Leo's voice floated through the phone, light and airy. "Team leads get an extra $300 a month." Gulp. A distinct swallowing sound, followed by Isabella's voice, trying its best to sound nonchalant. "It's not about the money. I just believe in seeing things through to the end. One shouldn't give up so easily." After successfully managing Isabella, Leo, and his roommates, along with the other 2 members of the basketball team, headed to the courts after class. The first round of the tournament was tomorrow. They needed to practice every chance they got. They drilled and scrimmaged until the sun went down. As dusk settled, a light rain began to fall. The players scattered, holding their clothes over their heads as they ran for the dorms. "Hurry, hurry, or we'll catch a cold." Leo was about to run with them, but he hadn't taken 2 steps before a bright yellow umbrella appeared over his head. Under the umbrella, a beautiful girl smiled at him. Leo was surprised, then pleased. "You're back." Claire nodded. "Just got back. I figured you'd be here." The spring rain fell gently. On the basketball court, the boy and girl stood under the umbrella, looking at each other and smiling. The other students, scattering in all directions, happened to glance over and see the scene. "Everyone, this rain is so damn cold. It's chilling us to the bone." The young couple went to the dining hall for dinner. By the time they came out, the rain had stopped. They strolled through the campus. The air was fresh with the scent of rain-soaked earth and the faint, sweet fragrance of wildflowers, a subtly alluring aroma. Somehow, the conversation turned back to last night, and then to the Animal Planet special. The girl commented with a calm, composed expression, "That's just how spring is. People and animals both get a little restless." The boy nodded righteously, in strong agreement. "Reasonable. This year's spring is a bad influence." The couple quickly reached a consensus. "So it's not our fault." "Of course not. A person must have self-control. We can't be so easily tempted. A relationship should be about mutual growth, not like other people who only think about messy things." Reasonable. Yesterday was just a coincidence. It won't happen again. Absolutely. As they talked, they found themselves once again at the overlook. They paused, looked at each other, then glanced around to make sure no one was there. Then, with a swift, silent movement, the couple disappeared into the dense foliage. Moonlight filtered through the clouds, illuminating 2 intertwined figures. Passionate kisses were accompanied by soft rustling. The girl's voice, thick with emotion but struggling for control, murmured, "Don't. You're still young. Some things should be gradual. Slowly." Then the boy's voice, deep and hoarse, also fighting for control. "Okay, but at least a little taste. That's reasonable, right?" The shadows danced. The woods were quiet and still. Suddenly, there was a sharp tearing sound. Riot. At the same moment, that night at the LNS house. In the living room, Mr. Chen, who had come by for his daily routine of feeding Reasonable, was comfortably seated on the sofa, engrossed in a baseball game on TV. The game was intense, the commentator's voice filled with passion. The parrot was perched on his good friend's shoulder, watching with equal intensity. At a particularly exciting moment, Reasonable flapped its wings and screeched, "Third base! Third base! Third base!" 3-chapter update. Righteously asking for votes and gifts. Thursday. The morning air in Donghai was fresh, washed clean by the spring rain. Bright sunlight spilled across the entire city as if all of creation was reawakening. Standing before the floor-to-ceiling window in the president's office on the 37th floor of the Junshin Group headquarters, one could see the entire morning scenery of Donghai's revival. Retracting his gaze from the distance, Su Changyan sighed in admiration. The spring in Donghai. is truly a wonderful season, Zhou Jun, standing to the side, respectfully chimed in, offering a teacup. President Su, your tea. Su Changyin took the cup with a smile and a word of thanks. He took a sip, a look of intoxication on his face. Good tea, a perfect match for a good view. Excellent. Chairman Su's mood had been quite good lately. The reason was simple. For the past few days, his precious daughter had, for once in a blue moon, sent him a few extra text messages. Each message was at least 10 characters long, reaching a length of 2 lines. One of the messages was another inquiry confirming the stock of wine at home. It directly and bluntly warned comrade Su Changyin to drink sparingly, and that it would be even better if he could just quit drinking altogether. There were also other messages that, intentionally or not, asked if there were any other antique collections at their home in Donghai. This girl, how rare. She's really become so sensible. Thinking about the messages his precious daughter had sent him, Su Changyin couldn't help but feel a deep sense of paternal gratification. On one hand, she's concerned about her old father's health. On the other, she knows how to cater my interests and find some common topics with me. In the past, if I tried to talk to her about antiques, she couldn't be bothered to listen to half a sentence. Beside him, the retired Special Forces King's eyes were calm and steady as he spoke with a composed voice. You are right. Su Changyin's interest was piqued. It's rare for this girl to be interested in antiques too. Little Zhou, go and organize all the collections at home and put them on display. Next time Qingyin comes back, it'll be convenient for me, her father, to give her a proper introduction. Zhou Jun, his expression unchanging, nodded again in assent. As he lowered his head, his pupils twitched slightly as a sign of respect. There's no need to organize them. We should probably just prepare a few burlap sacks for the young miss to pack them away. That should be enough. Having given his instructions, Chairman Su took his teacup and sat back down at his desk. He took another sip of tea, the fragrant aroma lingering. His mood remained excellent. Just as he was thinking about his precious daughter, another matter came to mind. He looked up at his trusted confidant. Right, has that boy Wei Xiao contacted Qingyin recently? Zhou Jun shook his head honestly. President Su, as far as I know, he has not. Su Changyin frowned slightly, a hint of dissatisfaction on his face. This kid, the girl's father, have already made my stance clear. What is he being so shy and bashful for? They're childhood friends who grew up together. What's more normal than meeting up to catch up and reconnect? What? Is he afraid Qingyin will eat him or something? Little Zhou, you tell me, now that Qingyin has grown up to be so sensible, could she still bully him? The retired Special Forces King nodded steadily. The young miss is indeed not that kind of person. The word bully, it truly underestimates his own young master. Receiving affirmation from his trusted confidant, Chairman Su's mood improved slightly. But when he thought about his precious daughter's love life, Su Changyin couldn't help but sigh. This girl, she's worry-free in all other aspects. It's just her love life that worries me. She's as naive as a blank sheet of paper. What if some random punk, whose character I don't even know, comes along and spirits her away? How can I let that happen? It's not that I want to play the feudal lord and force a match, but honestly, that Wei Xiao kid is truly outstanding among his peers. Young, with excellent bearing, talent, and looks. He studied abroad in England for a few years, and I heard his academic results were excellent. He came back for further studies and is apparently continuing in computer science. Pausing, Su Changyin sighed with emotion. That's a good major. The internet has been developing in China these past few years. Although our Junxiang group is in manufacturing, we should also properly research this internet sector. Otherwise, we'll really be left behind by the tides of time. Faced with this lament from the chairman of Junxiang, Zhou Jun listened patiently and gave his honest opinion. President Su, what you're saying is profound. I don't understand these grand principles. Su Changyin waved his hand. Forget you, even an old fossil like me can barely keep up with the young people's pace. At the Donghai Entrepreneurs Association meeting a while back, I heard some people mention that the hottest thing online these 2 years is something called a social media platform. Oh, right. Sina's CEO, Old Chow, even mentioned that one of his capable subordinates went off to start his own company, very ambitious, aiming to compete with Renren Network. As he spoke, Su Changyin couldn't help but shake his head and laugh self-deprecatingly. But what Renren Network is, this old bag of bones has never even heard of it. I could barely get a word in during the conversation. It was rare to see his boss lamenting his age like this. Zhou Jun couldn't help but feel a complex mix of emotions. President Su, you're not old. You are still in your prime. Su Changyin laughed. All right, you've learned how to flatter. Don't worry, Su Changyin, may be old in body but not in spirit. If the Times want to eliminate an old fellow like me, they'll have to put in some effort. The last sentence inadvertently revealed the confidence and dominance of the chairman of Junsheng once again, infecting Zhou Zhan, whose heart stirred with emotion. Yes, wherever you point, your subordinate will follow and fight. Su Changyin nodded in satisfaction and laughed heartily. Go downstairs and buy me some of the latest newspapers and magazines. Find some related to the internet. I'll do some research too. Zhou Zhan stood at attention, his face stern. Yes. He turned to leave, but was stopped when Chairman Su remembered something. Right. Also, help me see if you can find any newspapers from Yunnan. I haven't seen a single one lately. The retired Special Forces King's steps stiffened for a moment. He tried his best to keep his voice steady and calm. Yes. He pushed open the door and walked out of the president's office. The moment he closed the door behind him, the retired Special Forces King's eyes trembled violently. After finally calming himself down, Zhou Zhan let out a long breath. Thinking of the trust his boss had in him inside the office, he couldn't help but feel a wave of guilt and complex emotions. He had no idea when this life as a double agent would ever end. But on second thought, Zhou Zhan felt this was actually for his boss's own good. After all, if he knew the whole truth, how could his heart possibly take it? Besides, the relationship between a certain someone and the young miss was still just holding hands and kissing. It hadn't reached a more serious stage. These two young people, in this aspect, they were still relatively reassuring and had self-control. Thinking of this, the retired Special Forces King showed a look of relief. Holding hands and kissing, he could still manage to muddle through with his creative writing skills, but that was already the limit of his literary talent. If the two of them were to take things a step further and do something more, then he, the intelligence recorder, wouldn't his world just come crashing down? Thursday noon. The friend from dorms 205 and 520 gathered for lunch at the Chongqing Chicken Pot restaurant in the university's Wisteria Garden. During the meal, they chatted about their plans for the weekend. The ZB Cup debate final was on Saturday, held at Donghai University of Finance and Economics, DUF. Last week, before Lan left, she had not only told Lin Ran and Su Qingyan, but had also invited everyone else from both dorms. For the girls of dorm 205, the old campus of Donghai University was in the suburbs. Besides being near the sea for occasional scenery, there wasn't much new to see. After a semester, they were already a bit tired of it. DUF, on the other hand, was in the most prosperous part of the city. Being able to visit DUF and wander around the city was naturally met with enthusiastic support. The guys from dorm 520, of course, had no objections either. Jujube Cake Bro Li Zhuang was honor-bound to follow his girlfriend wherever she went. Ma Xiao Shuai, on the other hand, was single-mindedly thinking about all the beautiful girls at DUF. After all, Ms. and Baozi had personally promised him that she would introduce him to pretty girls when he got there. As for Ding Han, Comrade Little Ding had no say in the matter. He just had to honestly follow the main group. Around the dining table, everyone ate the chicken pot while excitedly discussing their plans for the DUF trip. Only a certain handsome guy seemed a bit absent-minded. Ma Xiaoshuai, sitting beside him, noticed, third bro, we're talking about going to DUF to see Sister Bao this weekend. Give us some suggestions." Lu Qingqing also looked over with curiosity and confusion. "That's right, Lin Ran. Why have you been zoning out all day?" Mu Tang nodded vigorously, adding exactly. He's been staring at Qing Yin the whole time. Jiang Yu pushed up the glasses on her nose, a wise look flashing in her eyes, as if she saw through everything. The angle of his gaze doesn't seem quite right either. Only then did Lin Ran snap back to reality. "Huh, was I? You must be seeing things." As he spoke, he righteously retracted his gaze from his school belle girlfriend's chest. But he couldn't resist sneaking another peek out of the corner of his eye. Su Qingyan, sitting opposite him, had a calm and composed expression. She peacefully backed up her boyfriend. "Yes, you are all seeing things." While she calmly helped him smooth things over, the young woman's hands were under the table, rapidly typing on her phone's keypad. A text message was sent to Lin Ran's phone. Lin Ran glanced at his phone screen. The message contained 3 words. "Big pervert. Stop looking." Lin Ran nonchalantly placed his phone under the table and blindly typed a reply. "Who's looking? I wasn't looking." He put on a righteous air. But even though he was being stubborn and not admitting it, his mind subconsciously recalled the scene in the small woods on Lover's Slope last night. That slender, soft, and fragrant body, and that heart-stoppingly soft touch. Just thinking about it made him feel like his nose was about to bleed, and his palm subconsciously made a few grasping motions in the air as if savoring the memory. Ding dong, another text message arrived. It was still from a certain Ms. Su Tai-ju, concise and filled with embarrassed anger. Little deviant. Mind your surroundings. Only then did Lin Ran come back to his senses, and he saw that everyone at the table was already looking at him with confusion. Lin Ran, what are you doing? With your hand? The person in question looked down and realized his hand was still in a claw-like grasping position. The air grew slightly stiff. Lin Ran took a deep breath and tried to remain calm, pretending nothing was wrong. Oh, it's nothing. I've been practicing martial arts recently. This move is called the Dragon Claw Hand. At these words, everyone at the table became even more confused. Dragon Claw Hand? Third bro, when did you start practicing martial arts? Su Qingyan, sitting opposite him, calmly interjected, I can vouch for him. He started during the winter break. Our Uncle Zhou is personally teaching him. Everyone was still half believing Lin Ran's words, but when Ms. Su Tai-ju spoke, they immediately understood and accepted it. So that's how it is. Wow, I didn't expect Lin Ran to have such a hobby. As expected of our God Ran. So motivated. A round of amazed praise. The crisis was averted. The person in question let out a small sigh of relief and looked gratefully at his girlfriend across the table. Su Qingyan, however, shot him an annoyed glare before looking away, pretending to be calm and natural as she chatted and laughed with the others. But in a place unseen by others, the base of the young woman's ears had long since turned completely red. After the meal, the group came out of the restaurant. Passing by a small convenience store, the whole crowd swarmed in to buy some drinks. Lin Ran and Su Qingyan followed them in. When they reached the refrigerated cabinet in the corner, with only the two of them left, and confirming no one was around, the young woman's slender, jade-like hand immediately pinched the person's ear. She leaned in close, biting her silver teeth slightly. You little pervert. Were you trying to get us caught just now? Her tone was filled with a rare, embarrassed anger. Lin Ran grimaced in pain and whispered his grievance. I've been wronged. It was involuntary. Who could help it after last night? Before he could finish, Su Qingyan hastily cut him off. You're still going on about that. The young woman sounded mortified. Don't do that again next time. Lin Ran's heart skipped a beat. There's a next time? This one sentence almost made Su Qingyan both angry and amused, but her hand had already released his earlobe. Looking at her little boyfriend in front of her, and thinking about the thrillingly bold and unrestrained scene in the woods last night, even the former ice-cold female president couldn't stop her face from flushing red and hot. She bit her lip, and her voice became softer. Do you really like it? Lin Ran was stunned for a moment, then nodded vigorously, his tone firm. I do. I more than like it. I absolutely love it. Su Qingyan pursed her lips at his answer, her voice even quieter. So, what did it feel like last night? What did it feel like? Lin Ran was stunned again. A pile of dangerous and sensitive words like snowy white, perfectly round, and perky flashed through his mind. All sorts of thoughts swirled in his head for a moment. The next second, the person spoke with a righteous and serious tone. Blissful. I felt blissful. A top-tier epiphany for a titanium alloy straight man on the matter of his lifelong happiness. And as it happened, this answer was exactly what a certain Ms. Su Tai-ju wanted to hear. The young woman's eyes immediately curved into satisfied crescents. She stood on her tiptoes, leaned forward, and gave her boyfriend a peck on the lips. Then she leaned close to his ear and, holding back her shyness, whispered something bold. After speaking, Su Qingyan herself couldn't stop her cheeks from flushing crimson, her face so red it felt like it was on fire. She quickly turned and ran away. Lin Ran, however, was struck as if by lightning, frozen on the spot. Ma Xiaoshui and Ding Han were walking over with the drinks they had bought. Seeing Lin Ran standing dazed in front of the refrigerated cabinet, they reached out to greet him. Third bro, what are you doing? Did you get your drink? Holy crap. Third bro, why is your nose bleeding again? The person snapped back to reality. He tried hard to take deep breaths to calm himself. While his pupils trembled violently, he forced himself to remain calm and wiped away the nosebleed. It's nothing. My training went awry. I have internal injuries. More tonight. Daily request for rush updates and gifts. Even with internal injuries, the game had to be played. In the evening, the first round of the School of Humanities intramural basketball tournament. Advertising Class 1 versus Philosophy Class 2. From Dorm 520, Lin Ran and two others led the charge, plus two classmates. Ding Han couldn't play but served as the coach. The only problem was the abundance of girls by the court. Coach Little Ding was forced to become a hand signal-based coach. He gestured wildly at his teammates from the sidelines. His hand speed was as fast as a Naruto character forming hand seals. Unsurprisingly, the majority of the girls were still there for advertising class 1. A sea of cheerleaders, a flock of orioles and swallows, formed a stark contrast to the deserted scene on the philosophy department side. Not only were there few girls in the philosophy department, but the boys themselves were on the verge of seeing through the mortal coil, solely focused on studying the mysteries of the universe. Who had the time to pay attention to such worldly affairs and be spectators? Anyway, before the game even started, the cheering from the advertising class's support group was already immense, nearly stunning their opponents. Holy crap! So many beauties! Especially with Su Qingyan present, standing generously by the court, holding that family support sign. Her mere presence naturally inflicted a -30% morale debuff and intimidation effect on the opponents. The person himself was also in godlike form. He made 6 out of 9 three-pointers throughout the game, including one from super long range, which directly set off a small climax. His own teammates were stunned. Ma Xiaoshui looked at Lin Ran as if he were a deity. Holy crap, wasn't he supposed to have internal injuries? How is third bro even fiercer? What kind of technique is this? Dragon Claw hand. Is it that awesome? The game ended. The advertising class won easily with a score of 73-52. The girls in the support group cheered and screamed in excitement. The class counselor, Su Liang, was so excited his face was flushed, and he couldn't help but start imagining the beautiful scene of his class team winning the championship. Lin Ran alone scored 24 points, becoming the game's MVP. A reporter from the school's news club enthusiastically came over for an interview, holding a small notebook and starting to ask questions. Classmate Lin Ran, you were in excellent form today, with a heroic performance on the court. May I ask what motivated you? The person answered without thinking, of course, it was because of my girlfriend, and the promised friendly vibrations on the big bed, and certain exciting things whispered in his ear at the convenience store that can't be shown on tomato. The reporter glanced at the elegant and otherworldly school belle, Sue, standing nearby, and nodded repeatedly in envious agreement. Then he continued to ask, your three-point shooting was excellent today. Do you have any secrets to share for being so accurate? Lin Ran answered readily, no secret. It's also because of my girlfriend. Touching the basketball reminded him of the passionate yet wholesome and energetic third base in the woods last night. They were both balls, but that touch was much softer than a basketball's. Not only soft, but also, his thoughts began to wander. The reporter was nodding and writing furiously. He inadvertently looked up at the interviewee and was startled. Classmate Lin Ran, your internal injury is bleeding. That evening, the advertising class had a small celebration dinner together. Su Qingyan, as a player's family member, also generously participated. After dinner, the young couple walked hand in hand on campus. Intentionally or not, they happened to wander to the front of the small woods on Lover Slope again. The person was eager to make a move, yet he looked at his school belle girlfriend with a righteous air. Since we're here, shall we go in and explore? Su Qingyan looked up at her little boyfriend with a faint smile. Are you looking to explore the woods? Or explore something else? Lin Ran was stunned, then swallowed. Either is fine, I'm not picky. This time, it was Su Qingyan's turn to be stunned. At first, she didn't react. Then, when she did, her face suddenly turned red, and she gritted her teeth and stomped on his foot. You little rogue, you're getting lawless. Lin Ran winced in pain and cried foul. I've been wronged. What are you thinking? I was talking about the actual woods. The next second, his ear was pinched by a slender, jade-like hand, accompanied by the young woman's teeth-grinding voice. You're still talking. But still, since they were here, the young couple looked left and right and nonchalantly prepared to go in for another stroll, to casually chat about life and explore their ideals. Unexpectedly, there were others in the woods who had the same idea. They had only taken a few steps in when they heard a rustling sound from behind the shadows of the trees, accompanied by rapid, heavy breathing and enraptured whispers. An elegant and pleasant duet of positive energy. Lin Er Chue and Su Taizhu were stunned. They fled immediately. After escaping, they looked at each other, still shaken. Lin Ran regained his composure, looked at his girlfriend, and cautiously suggested, should we learn from them next time? The next second, a flick on the forehead came from the blushing and annoyed young woman. Learn my foot. No. The next day, Friday, advertising design class on the new campus. After class, Lin Ran went around to the art classroom to find his number 1 trusted general, Ms. Zhao, the chosen worker, Mengquan. Seeing Zhao Bingxian, this time there was thankfully no accidental, habitual shoulder throw greeting. Campus Belle Zhao's mental state was slightly better this time, but seeing her boss Zhao Ku, she still couldn't help but give him a cold shoulder. With a straight face, she handed a stack of art drafts to Lin Ran for him to review. These were the works of the candidates she had selected after several rounds of careful interviews. She said she had interviewed a bunch of people this week, and in the end, only 3 or 4 were barely usable. Lin Ran took the drafts and looked at them, finding that these interview works were indeed quite good, better than Zhao Bingqian's evaluation, at least meeting his basic requirements. He made a decision on the spot. If you think they're okay, hire them. 1-month probation period, salary during probation will also be paid weekly, $600 a week. If they pass your evaluation and become permanent, their salary will increase to $4,000. Zhao Bingqian was stunned. She subconsciously gestured in the air with her small hand, calculating, then her eyes widened. 4,000? That's 2 or 3 times less than mine. Lin Ran waved his hand righteously. How can they compare to you? You're the team lead. You're worth that price. These words almost made a certain Ms. Zhao Mingquan dizzy with praise. On the surface, she was still trying hard to maintain a composed and nonchalant demeanor. Even if you say so, I am not going to be happy. The next second, she had already turned and run off excitedly. Wait, I also worked overtime to draw a bunch of new drafts recently. Let me show you. She bounced off to get her new drafts, ready to show off and ask for praise. Watching Miss Zhao Mengquan's departing figure, the person couldn't help but look on with admiration. What a great workhorse. No, what a great employee. A few words of praise are all it takes. A few more, and maybe he could even save on the recruitment bonus and the 300 yuan team lead subsidy. 3 chapters. Daily request for rush updates and gifts. A short while later, Ms. Zhao Mingquan returned excitedly with her art drafts. She presented them to Lin Ran like a treasure, eagerly awaiting his praise. But suddenly, she came to her senses. Realizing she was being too unreserved, she quickly pulled the drafts back a little, feigning a calm and indifferent look. Just take a look. I've been busy with recruitment these 2 days, so I spent less time on the drafts. If you're not satisfied with the quality, I can revise them anytime. Though she said this, she couldn't help but peek at the person's face out of the corner of her eye, carefully observing his expression. Lin Ran took the drafts and flipped through them. He looked up at Zhao Bingqian and gave her a direct thumbs up. Awesome. 2 concise words. He followed up with a look of admiration. Even the ones you drew in a hurry are a whole league better than the ones you hired. This skill, this efficiency, you're truly team lead material. Zhao Ke really chose the right person. These words made the already praise-expectant team lead Zhao dizzy again. In her heart, a chibi version of herself was beaming with joy, while on the surface, she tried hard to control the corners of her mouth from turning up too much. It's just average. If I were a bit more serious, I could draw even better. Lin Ran was shocked. Even better? Seeing his shocked expression, Zhao Bingqian's heart filled with an even greater sense of accomplishment and satisfaction. She puffed out her chest. Of course. Lin Ran looked at the campus bell with disbelief. The quality can be even higher? Zhao Bingqian was full of confidence. No problem. Lin Ran looked at her with reverence. Then surely the output and efficiency can be increased as well. Zhao Bingqian puffed out her chest proudly. Who says they can't? The person immediately nodded repeatedly. That's great. Let's stick to the current standard, make the drafts even more refined, and also increase your efficiency a bit. I hope to see the other costume designs for a few game characters finished by the time I come next week. He laid out the new round of tasks without batting an eye. In the end, the black-hearted capitalist didn't forget to give his #1 workhorse employee another thumbs up with a look of admiration. Team lead, you're awesome. You're the pillar of the company. Ms. Zhao Mingquan was so dazed by the praise. As she heard the last few sentences, she vaguely felt that something wasn't quite right, but she still nodded in a daze and agreed. Then, leave it to me. Then, the person took out his phone to check the time. It's getting late. That's all for today. I'm leaving now. You should also take care of yourself. Just finish the basic tasks. Don't work too hard. Zhao Bingqian was still pondering the new tasks. Hearing Lin Ran's concerned words, she subconsciously nodded. Oh, okay. Thanks. Goodbye. The person turned and left coolly without a change in expression. It wasn't until he had walked out of the art classroom and all the way downstairs that he vaguely heard the belatedly realized, indignant, and mournful voice of the campus bell from the art studio above. Zhao, K. You'd better not leave. He had probably earned another mark in his #1 workhorse employee's grudge notebook. But by now, a certain handsome guy was already walking out of the academic building in a cheerful mood, sighing to himself as he walked. My luck is really good to have picked up a natural-born saint of labor for free. After caring for his employee as a boss, Lin Ran changed hats, becoming the chief strategy officer, and took a taxi to the Happy Net Company headquarters on Wooding Road. The website's launch date was drawing closer, but tedious details were popping up endlessly. For the past few days, Chung Binghao, as the company's boss, had been leading all the employees and pulling all-nighters on the second floor of the small Western-style building, barely going home. Seeing Lin Ran arrive, he didn't even have time for pleasantries and immediately grabbed him. Gulme, there are still some details to sort out. Help us brainstorm a bit. Lin Ran didn't refuse. He joined the meeting discussion. After briefly listening to the reports from Wu Yin, Fang Ping, and some other employees, he generally had a good idea of the situation. They weren't major problems. At this point, the overall Happy Net product project was already initially complete and mature. Launching it directly wouldn't pose any risks. It was just that the people in front of him were too close to the situation, unable to see the forest for the trees. They were always anxious about some small details, constantly mulling over whether they should make changes. What others were struggling with was no difficulty at all for a reincarnator. Back in 2008, he himself was a user of HappyNet, playing Happy Farm and stealing crops like crazy. Because he knew all the right answers, he could directly help the HappyNet team make the final decisions. It was strange. Just now, everyone was arguing back and forth over a few ideas. But when the chief strategy officer spoke calmly, his tone placid yet unquestionable as he finalized one plan after another, everyone inexplicably felt a sense of reassurance and reliability. Most of the dissenting opinions died down. Some of the younger employees, including Han Ling, couldn't help but whisper among themselves. This young President Lin, he didn't say anything new. Isn't it all the same stuff we were just discussing? Why is it that as soon as he speaks, we're all inexplicably willing to believe and accept it? Where did this sudden sense of reassurance come from? Han Ling, a former campus belle from Donghai University's School of Mechanical and Electrical Engineering, and thus Lin Ran semi-senior, size him up and down, a strange light in her eyes. Is this personal charisma? Beside her, Wang Yi, a key employee from the planning department, gasped. Holy crap, I've seen a living male succubus. Some problems didn't require much effort. He just helped make the final call. But other problems still required Lin Ran to bring out some real substance. Besides helping everyone check for omissions, Lin Ran also gave advice to Chung Binghao and HappyNet's key middle management. Once the website goes live, don't hesitate. Boldly open up permissions, allowing registered users to share HappyNet friend invitation links through MSN, QQ, and even other social media platforms. This would further lower the promotional barrier for their own website and its flagship game product. This was a correct decision that the original HappyNet had hesitated on for half a year in his past life. Now, it was being done all at once in advance, which would further improve the efficiency of the website's promotion and spread after its launch. At the same time, he reminded Chung Binghao to keep the company's funds on hand, to hurry and prepare more servers, and for the programming department to handle back-end maintenance well. They had to prepare in advance for the explosive growth of users after the website's launch. A person in charge from the finance and logistics department raised their hand and asked, Young President Lin, how many servers do you estimate we'll need to buy? Lin Ran had been to the HappyNet headquarters twice and had managed to shock the employees there twice in a row. The first time was because of his insight. This time, it was because of his boldness. When a normal website or game goes live, it requires a corresponding number and scale of servers for back-end data storage and support. The employees at HappyNet were already quite confident in their own product. On top of their existing server count, they had already reserved a batch of servers as a backup. But the number Lin Ran had just mentioned was a full 30 times the number of backup servers HappyNet had originally reserved. The cost of purchasing this batch of servers alone was no simple figure. Given HappyNet's current financial situation, it would be extremely difficult to bear. If the website's performance data wasn't ideal after its launch, that money would be a real, tangible loss. But we must be fully prepared in this regard. Otherwise, if the website becomes a hit and a large number of registered users flood in and crash the servers, by the time we try to purchase and expand, the user experience will have already been affected. This money must be spent. As Chung Binghao walked him downstairs, Lin Ran explained a bit more to the HappyNet founder. Chung Binghao naturally understood this reasoning, so he just nodded, then looked at Lin Ran and smiled. I understand. I had similar thoughts and plans before, but my attitude wasn't as firm as yours, nor was I as bold. Lin Ran also smiled and replied casually, I'm the chief strategy officer. Of course, I have to talk big and be a little bolder. It sounded like a joke, but Chung Binghao took it seriously and nodded solemnly, looking at Lin Ran. Yes, that's why HappyNet needs a CSO like you. Everyone in the company, including myself, has moments of hesitation and uncertainty. At times like these, we need a chief strategy officer to step up and infect everyone with that boldness. This is sounding more and more like a male succubus. Lin Ran smiled, quite casually. No problem, as long as you pay me. Speaking of which, Lin Ran had just remembered. After joining HappyNet, the issue of his salary as the chief strategy officer hadn't been properly discussed. His own small browser game company wasn't even registered yet, and he was already offering a certain team lead, Zhao, a salary of $12,000 after probation. The CSO of the mighty HappyNet. Shouldn't that be 10 or 8 times more? Hearing Lin Ran's words, Chung Binghao nodded briskly. No problem. You and I have the highest positions in the company right now. I, the CEO and COO, make $1,800 a month. We can't treat you unfairly. Let's go with $1,800 for you too. Lin Ran. He looked at this old Chung in front of him as if he were looking at a Scrooge, only to see Chung Binghao say with a straight face, the company needs money everywhere right now. The accounts are very tight. If we add that large batch of servers you just mentioned, things will be even more stretched. As a senior executive of the company, it's reasonable to set an example and be frugal, right? Lin Ran. Something's not right. This reasonableness is spreading. And in the next second, old Chung patted him on the shoulder and said earnestly, don't worry. This situation is only temporary. Let's work hard together, brother, and make HappyNet bigger and stronger, just like you said. When a company goes public with the full 20% of shares in your hands, won't you be able to get rich easily? What's a salary then? You can decide how much you want. I definitely won't stop you. He had a righteous look on his face, speaking with great conviction. The more Lin Ran looked, the more familiar it seemed. The more he listened, the more something felt off. Suddenly, he realized, holy crap, everything this old Chung is saying are my own lines. Crap, the tables have turned. I become Zhao Mengquan. Jokes aside, Lin Ran was actually well aware of HappyNet's current situation. Indeed, compared to a small salary, the value of the shares after HappyNet became bigger and stronger was the top priority. At this moment, Chung Binghao also put away his jokes and looked at Lin Ran with sincerity. Honestly, if conditions allowed, with your skills, brother, I'd be willing to pay you a high salary, let alone 100,000. There really aren't many people I, Chung Binghao, have admired over the years. I can count on one hand, maybe 2 or 3. You're the youngest one. The others are now all famous tycoons in the country. But you, brother, are still so young and have such ability and courage. Even without my HappyNet, your future is absolutely limitless. Lin Ran laughed and waved his hand. You're too kind. I'm just an ordinary person. I don't deserve such high praise. The two chatted casually by the roadside for a bit. Just then, Lin Ran's phone rang. He picked it up and saw that it was from his girlfriend. Apologizing to Chung Binghao, he answered the phone and heard the young woman's pleasant voice. Are you coming back? Lin Ran smiled. Yeah, I'm talking with someone. I'll be back soon. Hearing that her boyfriend was talking business, Su Qingyin on the other end of the line didn't disturb him further. She simply replied and left a final sentence. I'm home, waiting for you. The last 2 words, seemingly casual, seemed to carry a hint of seductive charm, making the person on this end of the line's heart flutter. He subconsciously pictured the young woman on the other end biting her lower lip alluringly as she said those words. He felt his nasal cavity warm up, a sign of his training going awry again. After hanging up, he heard Chung Binghao ask curiously from the side, Girlfriend? Lin Ran nodded with a smile uncontrollably appearing on his face. They had been dating for a few months, yet even now, just thinking that a certain young woman was his official girlfriend, he couldn't suppress the smile on his lips. Seeing Lin Ran's reaction, Chung Binghao shook his head and offered some well-meaning advice. As someone who's been there, brother, you're still young. Don't let a woman affect your career. The other person meant well. Lin Ran didn't argue, just smiled and expressed his thanks. Letting a woman affect his career? If he really had to say it, if he were to rely solely on a certain Ms. Su Taizhu, his career would probably take off even faster. After all, she was the next successor of the Junshin Group. This wasn't just being a regular kept man. This was a top-tier Manchuhan imperial feast. After bidding farewell to Chung Binghao, Lin Ran took a taxi straight back to the Linsu villa that evening. He crossed the front yard, happily took out his key, unlocked the door, and pushed it open. The moment he entered, he was hit by an ominous aura. Not in an abstract sense. A physically strange smell assaulted his nostrils, almost making him instinctively do a tactical lean back. Looking closer, Lin Ran was dumbfounded to see a plume of greenish-black smoke, almost tangible, slowly wafting out from the kitchen. In the birdcage on the coat rack in the living room, Heli was flapping its wings in terror, hopping up and down. Death! 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 The next second, upon seeing the male master of the house enter, as if seeing a savior, the fat-headed parrot screeched hysterically, "To the kitchen! To the kitchen! Stop her! Stop her!" Thanks to being gone for the Great God certification. More tonight. Remember to rush updates and send small gifts. Strictly speaking, Su Qingyan didn't intend to cook at first. Tonight, after returning to the Linsu villa, while waiting for Lin Ran to come back, she was casually watching TV on the living room sofa. The TV happened to be showing a cooking show. It piqued her interest slightly. She thought she'd follow the chef's instructions on the show and replicate a dish to give her little boyfriend a surprise after his hard work. Back home in Yunnan, when Aunt Feng was teaching me to cook, we made several dishes together. They all turned out pretty well. At the dining table, Su Qingyan explained this to Lin Ran. Pausing for a moment, she looked at her own creation on a plate and couldn't help but frown slightly. I don't know why, but following the TV instructions this time, it just didn't turn out the same as on the show. It certainly didn't. Lin Ran followed his girlfriend's gaze. On the plate beside them was a lump of abstract matter comparable to Ma Xiaoshuai's advertising design homework. Greenish-purple, with hints of black. It was a shocking sight, emitting a faint aura of death. The person swallowed and calmly offered some comfort. It must be a problem with the chef's instructions on TV. Can't compare to Aunt Feng. Then he immediately changed the subject. It's fine. Next time Aunt Feng comes to Donghai, she can help you cook. Let's forget about it for today and try what I made. Fortunately, Heli's timely warning when he got home allowed him to rush into the kitchen and clean up the mess. After coaxing his girlfriend out, he decisively took over the cooking duties and made a new table of dishes. Otherwise, tonight would have been a real disaster. Su Qingyan nodded, but she couldn't help but glance at her creation with some regret. But I already made it. Shouldn't we try a little? She looked up at Lin Ran and suggested, although it doesn't look like the one on TV, maybe it tastes okay. Lin Ran. He glanced at the hellish cuisine in the plate, whose appearance was comparable to that of a grotesque creature. Just looking at it, you knew eating it would be fatal. Then, the person spoke with a straight face. We can't finish so much food anyway. As he spoke, he seemed to have an idea, and his eyes lit up. Doesn't Brother Lu Jin love your cooking? Let's save it for him tonight and ask him to come over and eat it tomorrow. A hexagonal warrior with maxed out stats. Only a man with a stomach of gold could withstand such damage. Su Qingyan's face lit up with understanding, and she nodded happily. That works. Lin Ran let out a long sigh of relief, as if a great weight had been lifted. Dodged a bullet. Praise be to Brother Lu Jin. During dinner, the young couple chatted casually. Su Qingyan asked why Lin Ran was so late today, her eyes on her boyfriend, slightly curious. Still about the browser game? She was now slightly aware that Lin Ran was hiring employees to build an art team. She was also a little surprised and impressed. The little fool's entrepreneurial efforts were quite impressive. Thinking about their last conversation, she asked with concern, "Still only one employee? Is that enough?" Lin Ran answered vaguely while eating. "Enough. She's very capable, a chosen worker, and I've asked her to help with recruitment. A few new people have joined." Su Qingyan nodded. She was originally thinking that if her little boyfriend ran into difficulties, she could help him find a solution. But then she asked with concern, "With so many people, can you afford to pay their salaries? I can help you out with some from my side." She was still worried. After all, with her status and perspective as the former president of Junsheng, looking at her little boyfriend's current entrepreneurial project, it felt like an older sister watching her little brother learn to walk. She couldn't help but want to worry more. Lin Ran waved his hand. "No need. There's enough money. The browser game is going smoothly, so I don't have to worry too much for now. I was at another company earlier, meeting people and discussing business. I just became their CSO, and their product is about to launch, so I have to help out a bit more." Su Qingyan had heard Lin Ran mention this briefly before. At first, she didn't pay much attention, just thinking that her little boyfriend was quite active, finding some small company and even tricking them into making him their chief strategy officer. But recently, seeing Lin Ran get busier with various work, coming home later, and often working in the study until the early hours, she couldn't help but feel a pang of heartache. With so much to do, isn't it too tiring? Maybe you should slow down. Lin Ran shook his head. Not tiring. It's a deal. I still have to earn money to support you. Su Qingyan frowned slightly at his words. If it's just for that, I've said I don't want you to feel pressured. Your health is more important than anything. Her tone carried a hint of insistence and gentle reproach. The thought that her boyfriend was pushing himself so hard just for this small matter made the young woman want to persuade and lecture him. Lin Ran, however, smiled. Of course, it's not just for that. My real goal is to make the company bigger and stronger. And then hire a whole bunch of employees, line them up in front of you, and have them all call you boss's wife. Boss's wife. Su Qingyan was suddenly stunned. Including her past life, she had been called boss and President Su, and in this life she had heard sister-in-law. But boss's wife, such a pleasant and novel title, she had never heard before. For a moment, the future chairman of Juanxing's heart skipped a beat. She suddenly wanted to hear it. Immediately, the young woman paused and changed her tune with a straight face. Then you'd better work hard. After dinner, they went to the kitchen to clean up the dishes. They also carefully sealed the certain hellish dish with plastic wrap and put in the fridge, waiting to give it to brother Lu Jin tomorrow. After cleaning up, the young couple comfortably lay on the living room sofa to watch a movie. They casually picked a film released a few years ago, Woody Allen's Match Point. At first, the young couple watched the movie seriously, exchanging their views and opinions. As they watched, their bodies slowly pressed closer together. The person's hand, which was righteously placed on his girlfriend's knee at first, slowly and restlessly began to slide upwards. The young woman's ears gradually turned red until they were completely flushed. On the surface, she still pretended not to know, calmly continuing to watch the movie and chatting with the person beside her about the plot, as if nothing was wrong. Her voice was clearly becoming tight and trembling, but she still tried hard to maintain a calm and composed tone. What do you think of this plot? The person, equally straight-faced but with his mind already wandering, replied, the plot is quite big. No, I mean the characters are quite full-bodied. The movie continued to play on the screen, but it had gradually become mere background and mood setting for the young couple on the sofa. In a corner of the living room, on the coat rack, the fat-headed parrot in the birdcage was sleeping. It was woken up in a daze by some strange noises and poked its head out to look at the TV screen. The movie on the screen happened to be showing a rather steamy scene. The fat-headed parrot's small eyes widened. Whoa, porn. Then it heard noises from the direction of the sofa. Helly's gaze was immediately drawn over. One look, and the fat-headed parrot gasped in shock. Whoa, live porn. 3 chapters. Requesting rush updates and small gifts. In the early morning, bright sunlight streamed into the Linsu villa through the floor-to-ceiling windows. Lin Ran was up early. After washing up, he went to the kitchen to prepare breakfast. It had become a habit. In the school cafeteria, if you were a step late, you wouldn't get any food. At the Linsu villa, if you were a beat slow, the lady of the house would personally cook. The latter outcome was 100 times more terrifying than the former. Not long after, the sound of footsteps came from the stairs outside the kitchen, growing closer. Then, a slender figure walked into the kitchen. Su Qingyan, also having washed up, was wearing a loose t-shirt, revealing 2 tender, fair legs and a pair of pink slippers on her feet. She still seemed sleepy, her hair casually draped over her shoulders, looking fluffy and lazy. She had followed the aroma of food into the kitchen. Seeing her boyfriend busy at the stove, Su Qingyan's eyes were half closed in a daze, but she had already expertly snuggled up to him, wrapping her arms around his waist from behind and resting her head comfortably on his shoulder. Lin Ran turned his head to look at his girlfriend and smiled. Still sleepy? Su Qingyan nodded lazily, burying her head in his shoulder, too lazy to move, and mumbled Lin Ran, while handling the spatula, kindly suggested, why don't you go lie on the sofa in the living room for a bit? I'll call you when the food is ready. But the young woman behind him just nuzzled her head against his shoulder and shook her head stubbornly. No, the Su family's young miss, just woken up, was less cool and aloof than usual, appearing a bit childish and cute. As she spoke, she even tightened her grip around his waist slightly, pressing her soft body even closer to his back. Lin Ran was at a loss for whether to laugh or cry, and was about to say something more when he suddenly felt a certain soft, elastic touch against his back. His heart immediately skipped a beat. This is nice too. Being held so tightly by his girlfriend, The sensation from behind subconsciously reminded Lin Ran of the wonderful and romantic, positive energy scene on the living room sofa last night. Although they had both managed to exercise restraint with their rationality and didn't proceed to the final home run stage, the person had been quite the master during the third base phase. Or rather, his hands had been all over the place. To put it more elegantly, he had had a good feel. The person's thoughts began to drift at the kitchen stove. Just a momentary lapse in concentration, but it seemed to have been keenly detected by the young woman behind him, who guessed what he was thinking. Su Qingyan gently pinched his waist and said with a hint of embarrassed annoyance, "You little pervert." Lin Ran came back to his senses and immediately cried foul. "How am I a pervert? I didn't do anything." Su Qingyan, gritting her teeth slightly, patted him again. "You just are." But even as she said this, the young woman continued to hug her little boyfriend's waist, and intentionally or not, she held him even tighter. The atmosphere was warm and peaceful. The young couple seemed to be enjoying this moment of morning bliss. After a moment, Su Qingyan, still lying on Lin Ran's back, asked in a small voice, "All boys like them big?" Lin Ran was stunned. A question mark appeared above his head. Then he came to his senses and realized, and the person immediately responded righteously, "That's ordinary boys. So shallow. I'm not like them." Su Qingyan seemed to have become slightly interested and continued to ask, "So do you like big or small?" It seemed like a casual question, but it was fraught with hidden danger. The person's mind spun at top speed at this moment. The Steel Straight Man account went offline, and the High EQ Model Boyfriend account logged in. He immediately declared firmly and resolutely, "I like yours." Between big or small, there was also the option of or. Never easily fall into the traps carefully set by your girlfriend. Single dogs can ignore the above sentence. And to be honest, Ms. Su Taiju was by no means small. Normally, she already had a slender and well-proportioned figure. But upon actual inspection, one would discover that there was an even bigger surprise. Putting aside certain sensitive words that Tomato wouldn't allow, like perky and perfectly round, to put it simply, it was almost more than a handful. No, if I keep reminiscing, my nose will start to itch again. And at this moment, Su Qingyan was quite satisfied with her boyfriend's answer. She stood on her tiptoes and kissed his ear. Then, as if remembering something, she leaned close to his ear and whispered, "In the dorm, Ching Ching and I are about the same. Tang Tang is a bit smaller. AUS are the biggest." Jiangyu. Lin Ran was stunned. The image of her usual cool style, always wearing loose, conservative clothing, came to mind. He was immediately filled with respect. Still waters run deep. After breakfast, the young couple prepared to go out. They had already promised in Lon that they would go to the downtown DUF campus today, Saturday, to watch the ZB Cup final and cheer for Baoxian's site. They had also arranged to meet up with their friends from dorms 205 and 520 to wander around the DUF anniversary celebration, and, if time permitted, to have some fun in the city. But just before they left, Lin Ran received a phone call. It was from brother Lu Jin. On the phone, Comrade Qian Lu Jin said he had something to do this weekend and wouldn't have time to help take care of Helly. "I have a few shops in the city. I need to go and inspect the business." Brother Lu Jin explained casually on the phone. Lin Ran was slightly taken aback. "Brother Lu Jin, you have shops in the city?" Brother Liu Jin's tone on the other end was matter of fact. "Yeah, money sitting idle is just idle, so I just bought some shops and opened some businesses. Oh, I also have to go collect rent. Some tenants in a few residential complexes have their leases ending. Sigh, it gets so busy in the middle of the month. You students have it so easy." A round of sighs and laments. Lin Ran. He increasingly felt that Brother Liu Jin's background was profound and his wealth astonishing. Was there some hidden, powerful family with the surname Qian in the country? Xin Group. Unfathomable and terrifyingly powerful. But with Brother Lu Jin busy this weekend, there was no one to take care of Helly at home. Lin Ran and Su Qingyan planned to stay in the city for an extra night this weekend and wouldn't be back until tomorrow at the earliest. Lin Ran looked at Su Qingyan. "We seem to be out of bird food, too." Su Qingyan frowned slightly and thought for a moment. "The only thing left in the fridge is the dish I made, which I was going to leave for Brother Lu Jin." Then her gaze shifted to the fat-headed parrot in the birdcage. "Maybe we can leave it for Helly to eat, just to get by for today?" Helly, in the birdcage, froze completely upon hearing this. When it snapped back to reality, it began to flap its wings in terror. "Spare me! Spare me! Spare me!" It turned its head and looked desperately at its male master. "Save me! Save me! Save me!" Lin Ran couldn't bear it either, especially thinking about the recent and Baozi drunkenly hits her head on a pillar incident. in which the fat-headed parrot had helped. So he thought for a moment and suggested, "Why don't we take Helly with us, all together?" Su Qingyan was stunned and looked at the fat-headed parrot in the cage beside her. "Take it." Helly in the bird cage was overjoyed at the words and immediately flew to the side of the cage, rubbing its head fawningly against its female master's finger. "Good woman, take me with you. I'll be good. I'll be good. I'll be good." Su Qingyan couldn't help but be amused and finally nodded. All right. In the end, it was the young couple and a bird who set out together. They had arranged to meet with their friend from the 2 dorms first before heading to the city. So Lin Ran and Su Qingyan took Helly on a bus from the Linsu Villa to the east gate of the school to meet up. It would be too much trouble to carry the birdcage on a trip like this. Plus, Comrade Fat-Headed Parrot was already smart and clever and had recently been trained by Brother Lu Jin, making it even more well-behaved and sensible. So Lin Ran decided to save some trouble and just let Helly perch on his shoulder. This was also the Fat-Headed Parrot's first official long trip. It was in a cheerful mood all the way, flapping its wings and flying around Lin Ran and Su Qingyan, singing a song it had learned from who knows where. The sun is high in the sky. The flowers are smiling at me. The mother parrot said, "Good morning. Why are you carrying a pack of dynamite?" It was being too boisterous. A cold glance from Su Qingyan made the bird's feathers stand on end, and it instantly behaved itself, obediently returning to its male master's shoulder. Soon, the bus pulled up and stopped. The 2 of them and the bird got on. The vehicle slowly started up again, moving forward. It was Saturday. The morning sun was bright, and the sky was clear and cloudless. Lin Ran and Su Qingyan sat in the back row by the window, enjoying the passing scenery outside, both feeling refreshed and happy. Their eyes met inadvertently, and they both smiled slightly, feeling that they would never tire of days like these. Naturally, their hands on their laps were already held together openly and without reservation. Only a certain fat-headed parrot perched on a certain person's shoulder looked left and right, sizing up the bus's interior, and muttered in a low voice, "Crappy vehicle, crappy vehicle." Its standards had been raised. The first time it saw the black Maybach driven by Uncle Joe, it had fallen in love at first sight, wishing it could stand on the car's hood ornament and gallop with gusto. Today, switching to a bus, it suddenly felt that its own status and class had dropped significantly. But turning its head to look at its master and mistress, who were being all sweet and intimate, and thinking of the female master's terrifying authority, Helly subconsciously shrank its head, its survival instinct taking over, and didn't dare to complain out loud. It could only bear the sorrow silently on its own. Taking the bus to the east gate of the school, the young couple and the fat-headed parrot got off. They looked up and saw the figures of their friends from the 2 dorms standing by the roadside, not far ahead. Ma Xiaoshui had sharp eyes and spotted Lin Ran and Su Qingyan first. He immediately waved enthusiastically. "Third bro, Sister Taiju. Over here, over here." The 2 of them went up to join the group. The girls from dorm 205 immediately gathered together, chattering away, discussing and sharing their outfits and makeup for the day. The boys, on the other hand, noticed the fat-headed parrot on Lin Ran's shoulder right away. Ma Xiaoshui was surprised. "Hey, third bro, why did you bring your parrot?" Li Zhuang looked at Helly on Lin Ran's shoulder and habitually reached into his pocket. "Can parrots eat jujube cake?" Lin Ran smiled and explained, "There's no one at home to take care of it today, so we had no choice but to bring it out with us." Ma Xiaoshui couldn't help but laugh. "Dude, you and Sister Taiju are a killer CP. Now you've added a bird. You're a standard condor couple." Ding Han also laughed silently. Lin Ran looked at Helly on his shoulder, thought for a moment, and shook his head to correct him. "It doesn't count. The condor spot is old Zhao's. Never forgetting to save a spot for his best friend. A moving brotherly friendship." With everyone present, they hailed a taxi by the roadside to go to Duf. There were 8 people and 1 bird in total. They split into 2 cars with the girls in one and the boys in the other, simple and convenient. The only one left was Helly. Comrade Fat-Headed Parrot was originally quite tempted to ride with the girls. But looking at its female master, and thinking that riding with the beauties meant staying with her, and who knew what other terrifyingly dangerous handmade snacks she had in her bag, the bird shivered. Its survival instinct won out. In the end, it obediently returned to its male master's shoulder, looking extremely loyal. "I'm with Father Emperor. I'm with Father Emperor." This display made everyone laugh again. The girls couldn't help but cover their mouths. "Hey Qingyan, your parrot is so cute. It seems closer to you than a Lin Ran." Su Qingyan didn't mind. "It's fine, then we'll take 1 car." Thinking for a moment, she took out a bag of snacks from her bag. I still have one bag of the cookies I made last time. We can share them on the way. The three girls from dorm 205 suddenly felt like going to the other car. They quickly hailed taxis by the roadside. The friend from the two dorms got into their respective cars and set off. The journey was uneventful. In the boys' car, Lin Ran sat in the front passenger seat with Helly perched on his shoulder, looking around curiously. The driver didn't mind the parrot passenger and was actually quite enthusiastic, actively talking to the fat-headed parrot. Yo, first time in a car? The little bird is quite cute. Why don't you come with me? You won't have to fly yourself anymore. You can ride in a car every day. Helly, however, after inspecting the taxi's interior, looked at the driver with a sideways glance and threw out a contemptuous remark. Broke ass. Do not disturb. The pride of a fat-headed parrot that has ridden in a Maybach. Before the words had even faded, Lin Ran swiftly covered its mouth and stuffed a piece of jujube cake in to shut it up. Sorry, driver, it was just kidding. On the way, Lin Ran chatted with his three roommates in the back, talking about novels for a while before the topic quickly turned to beautiful women. Ma Xiaoshui and Ding Han, in particular, were full of longing for the beauty-filled Duff. One was full of anticipation. I wonder how beautiful the Duff girl's sister Bao promised to introduce me to will be. Will they be at least 7-pointers? The other was also ambitious. I suspect there's something wrong with the soil and water at Donghai University. Once I'm at Duff and the feng shui changes, I will definitely take the initiative to talk to girls. That morning, there were quite a few vehicles heading to Duff. As the two taxis set off from Donghai University, on a viaduct in the city, a dark gray Audi Q7 was also weaving through the traffic. Inside the car, in the spacious and comfortable back seat, a handsome and elegant young man was on the phone, laughing and talking to the person on the other end. I'm on my way. Don't worry, I won't stand you up this time. I'll be there soon. He hung up the phone. As he put his phone away, the smile on the young man's face faded, replaced by a calm and indifferent expression. The driver in the front seat was a middle-aged man with a square face. He glanced at the young man in the back through the rearview mirror and spoke respectfully. When the two taxis arrived one after the other at the gate of Donghai University of Finance and Economics, it was already around 10:30 in the morning. Just as the group from the two dorms got out of the cars, Lin Ran's phone rang. He answered the call, and the voice of a certain comrade and Baozi came through the receiver. Hello, are you here yet? I'm coming out to get you. I'm right at the school gate. Lin Ran, holding his phone, subconsciously looked around while replying, We just arrived. We're also at the school gate. As he spoke, he heard Mu Tang beside him excitedly point at a spot and shout, I see her. Baozi is over there. Everyone, including Lin Ran, looked up. Not far ahead, inside the gate of Duff, a beautiful and vibrant figure was standing in front of flower bed, holding a phone and also looking around. Around the flower bed, many passing Duff students couldn't help but cast glances at the figure, the kind where they would look back 3 times for every step, their faces full of awe and admiration. To receive such attention at the beauty-filled Duff, it could only be the campus belle goddess who had held the title for 3 consecutive years. It was Enlon. The friends from the two dorms had also spotted Enlon by now. Ma Xiaoshui shouted excitedly at the top of his lungs, Sister Bao, over here, over here. He waved enthusiastically as he yelled, his voice so full of vigor that even the passing Duff students couldn't help but look over, wondering, Who is this? It seems like they're greeting our campus bellin. Sister Bao? What's Sister Bao? Enlon finally spotted the group at the school gate, her eyes lighting up. But then she heard a certain comrade Xiaoshui shouting, and her face immediately darkened. She walked over quickly. Ma Xiaoshui was eagerly approaching with a fawning expression. Sister Bao, you've gotten even more beautiful after just 1 week. The next second, Enlon shot him an annoyed glare. Why are you shouting so loud? You're not allowed to call me that in public. The number of girls I promised to introduce you to is now reduced by 1. Ma Xiaoshui froze on the spot. The next second, he was in agony. Sister Bao, you can't do this to me. Enlon glanced at him sideways and announced mercilessly, Still calling me that? Reduced by another 1. Now you have none. Then she left the petrified Ma Xiaoshui and walked up to the others with a beaming smile. Oh, everyone's here. I miss you all so much. Lin Pighead, whatever. Oh, hey, Helly's here too? Let me give him some love. Lu Qingqing looked Enlon up and down and couldn't help but exclaim in amazement, covering her mouth. Wow, Baozi, your outfit today is stunning. You're so beautiful. It was only after being reminded that everyone took a closer look at Enlan's attire, and they couldn't help but be impressed. Indeed, the last time she came to the old campus of Donghai University for the ZB Cup semifinals, Enlan was just wearing her usual casual clothes. But today, for the ZB Cup final, it seemed she had finally taken it more seriously. When she came to the school gate to pick them up, Comrade Mbowsy was already wearing the official uniform of the DUF debate team. A black women's blazer paired with a white chiffon blouse, a short skirt, and a pair of black high heels that accentuated the slender and well-proportioned curves of her calves. She exuded an air of sharpness, competence, and generosity. If the in-law they saw last time was already incredibly vibrant and charming, today, in this uniform, she was the perfect image of a mature senior that countless boys dreamed of. Every frown and smile made their hearts beat faster. Hearing Lu Qingqing's praise, in-law beamed with joy. Right. I think so too. Sister-in-law, what do you think? Hurry up and praise me. She was eagerly seeking praise. Everyone nodded vigorously, showering her with sincere compliments. Even Ding Han scribbled on his notepad and held it up. 9. 5 points. The full score still had to be reserved for Sister Taiju. Su Qingyin also looked slightly dazed. Then she smiled radiantly and said sincerely, you do look beautiful. Looking at her best friend and sister-in-law in front of her, she was subconsciously reminded of the figure who had fought alongside her at Junxing more than 10 years later in her past life. The current and Bowsy already had a hint of her future style. Lin Ran also looked his sister up and down with some awe and admiration. In the past, he had never considered Bowsy in terms of looks or charisma. But now, seeing her, she was indeed stunning and moving. Everyone said their hellos. Of course, a certain person still didn't relent verbally. It's all right. You kind of look like a restaurant waitress. The next second, a furious in-law pounced on him with her claws out. Waitress, my foot. Lin Pighead, I'll fight you. A friendly interaction between siblings. The chase lasted for 3 minutes. In the end, it was Su Qingyin who successfully pacified the pair, just by taking out a bag of small snacks and saying, stop fooling around, have a cookie and cool down. She easily made the two siblings instantly behave themselves and shake hands in reconciliation. It's fine, we were just playing. I'm not angry at all. Let's save the cookies for someone who doesn't want to live. No, for someone who needs them. After some fooling around, they had delayed for a while. And Lan, as the host from Doof Today, smoothed the messy hair on her forehead and instantly returned to her elegant demeanor, smiling at everyone. Let's go. We still have some time this morning. I'll show you around. It's the school's anniversary today. It's very lively. Everyone readily agreed and followed in Lan's steps, preparing to walk into the campus. And just at that moment, not far behind them outside the school gate, a silver-white Audi Q7 slowly drove up. Su Qingyin, who was following the group into the campus, subconsciously stopped and looked back with a sense of familiarity. But her view was blocked by the flower beds and trees. Lin Ran noticed his girlfriend's movement and turned to look at her. What's wrong? Su Qingyin shook her head and looked away. Nothing. I just felt a sense of familiarity. Then she looked down her fair hand, deep in thought. My fist hardened for a moment. Then she looked up at Lin Ran and smiled slightly. Let's go. She then took Lin Ran's hand, and the two of them caught up with their friends ahead. At the same moment, inside the silver-white Audi Q7 at the school gate, the driver, Chun Tai, also noticed the sudden strangeness in his young master in the back seat. Young master, what's wrong? At this moment, Wei Xiao was looking suspiciously towards the Doof campus outside the car window, but he couldn't see anything. Hearing Chun Tai's question, he subconsciously frowned. Just now, I felt like there was a killing intent. As he spoke, he couldn't help but shiver. A very familiar killing intent. But then, the air of the Wei family's brows relaxed, and he smiled with relief. It's nothing. It must be my imagination. Uncle Chun, you can stop here. I'll go in myself. 3 chapters. Requesting a small gift thinking about the upcoming plot, I, Abayo, am already starting to laugh, ha ha ha. I've forgotten which anniversary of Donghai University of Finance and Economics it was today, but the Doof campus was indeed decorated with lanterns and red banners, filled with a festive atmosphere. The tree-lined avenues were bustling with students and returning alumni, creating a lively and noisy scene. The group from Donghai University toured around under Lan's guidance, listening to her casual introductions and looking at the campus buildings, occasionally letting out exclamations of praise. People like Ma Xiaoshui and Ding Han had been busy from the start, who had the mind to listen to campus introductions. From the moment they entered the school gate, their gazes had been constantly scanning the passing Doof girls, their eyes shining. This quality is too high. A beauty just passed, then another pretty girl, and another pretty girl. It was dazzling and overwhelming. Ma Xiaoshui was completely shocked. Is this the quality of the beauty-filled Doof? Holy crap, is this heaven? Ding Han was also nodding excitedly beside him. Heaven. Definitely heaven. It wasn't just the two brothers from Gotham. A certain fat-headed parrot was also putting on a brilliant performance at this moment. It flapped its wings and flew from someone's shoulder into the air, circling and surveying from above. Then its small, mung-bean-sized eyes lit up like torches, and it rattled off a series of rapid fire. Loud reports like a machine gun. 5.5, 6.3, 6, 6.2, 7.1, 7. In one breath, it had rated and quickly compiled data on all the pretty girls within its line of sight. Then it flapped its wings and flew higher, looking into the distance. As if discovering a new continent, the fat-headed parrot scout let out a loud cry. Black stockings. Black stockings. 7-point black stockings. 4 o'clock direction. 4 o'clock direction. Below, Ma Xiaoshui and Ding Han's spirits were suddenly lifted. Holy crap, for real? Charge! Then the two brothers from Gotham followed the fat-headed parrot and ran off in a hurry, leaving the rest of their friends behind. Watching the eagerly departing figures of Ma Xiaoshui and Ding Han, Lan turned to look at the others. Are these two always like this? Did the doctor say there's still hope? Lu Qingqing's mouth twitched slightly. Just cremate them directly, it's too embarrassing. Mu Tang covered her face and turned her head away. I don't know them, I don't know them. Jiang Yu pushed up the glasses on her nose and calmly commented, this is how people from Gotham who are being chased by Batman are. Su Qingyan also glanced at the certain fat-headed parrot that was gradually flying away into a small dot in the distance, her expression indifferent. A certain stupid bird probably needs to be taught a lesson. What do you think? As she spoke, the young woman turned to look at her boyfriend. Lin Ran had just snapped back to reality. Huh? What black stockings? He quickly retracted his gaze from the direction where the Gotham brothers and the fat-headed parrot had gone and instantly became righteous. Oh, you're right. It should be taught a lesson. No self-control at all, charging forward at the mention of black stockings. Not like me. I don't care at all. Lu Qingqing nodded in agreement and pursed her lips. Exactly, Lin Ran is right. What's so good about 6-point black stockings? The next second, a certain person subconsciously corrected her. It was 7 points. The air suddenly fell silent for a moment, as everyone's gazes turned to look at him with confusion and a certain miss. Su Taizhu's eyes narrowed slightly. The person froze for a moment. Then he snapped back to reality, his face pale with horror. Holy crap, I'm screwed. The Doof anniversary celebration was indeed well organized. They had even organized students to set up various stalls, selling snacks, school souvenirs, and even magic performances. The main focus was on creating a festive atmosphere where the school and students could have fun together. Lan led the group to the street of stalls. The friends from the two dorms' eyes lit up, and they excitedly scattered to different stalls to find things they were interested in. Only Lin Ran and Su Qingyan were still with Lan, chatting as they walked. Lin Ran rubbed his ear while observing the passing Doof students and casually commented, your school does have a lot of pretty girls. Of course, they're all a bit inferior to your sister-in-law. Lan puffed out her chest proudly. Of course, the person in front of you is the 3-time campus belle of Doof. How about that? Impressive, right? Lin Ran nodded in sincere admiration. Impressive. It must have cost a lot of money, right? Huh? Lan was stunned for a moment. Then she realized and became furious again, pouncing on him with her claws out. You're the one who spent money. I won this with my looks and talent. Lin Pighead, don't you run. A scene of the Doof campus belle chasing her brother, a second act. The three of them strolled for a while longer. Lan took out her phone to check the time, then turned to Lin Ran and Su Qingyan. The debate final is this afternoon. I have to go back and prepare the topic with my teammates. I won't be having lunch with you guys. You can have fun on your own for a while. After the competition this afternoon, I'll take you out for some good food. Lin Ran and Su Qingyan also expressed their understanding and readily agreed. After Baozi left, the young couple looked at each other and smiled in mutual understanding. Now it was just the two of them. Oh, and a bird. Heli, perched on a certain person's shoulder, flapped its wings and chirped excitedly. Shopping. Shopping. Good food and drinks. Good food and drinks. They walked all the way, the young couple and the fat-headed parrot, buying a lot of snacks and drinks from the stalls on the food street. They also browsed some handmade craft stalls, buying some cheap but exquisite small jewelry and Doof souvenirs, enjoying themselves thoroughly. They were about to meet up with their other friends from the two dorms. As they passed an academic building, Su Qingyan suddenly needed to use the restroom. Lin Ran waited for her at the entrance of the building with Heli, carrying a pile of snacks and toys they had just bought. He watched his girlfriend's figure disappear into the building. Lin Ran looked away. While waiting, he took the opportunity to think more about his browser game project plans. The art department was now being handled by Zhao Mengquan for recruitment, so the output of art drafts and designs could be increased rapidly. His own content planning was also mostly complete. The only thing missing in the early stage was a programming team to build the initial framework for the Battle Through the Heavens browser game. They needed front-end programmers and also people for the back-end. And they would need to buy some servers. He could ask Old Chung to spare him a few when he was buying them for HappyNet. He was deep in thought when he suddenly heard a surprised voice from not far away. "Benefactor bro?" The voice was somewhat familiar. Lin Ran's thoughts were interrupted, and he subconsciously looked up in the direction of the voice. He saw a familiar face. Lin Ran was stunned for a moment. Then he also remembered and blurted out, "The Moocher." Wei Zhao's face was beaming with joy. "Yes, it's me." "Oh, Benefactor bro, what a coincidence. I was just saying that I saw a familiar figure. It's truly a small world. This is what you call fate, ha ha ha." Lin Ran thought it was quite a coincidence. The freeloading rich kid he'd run into at the train station on his way home from Donghai before winter break. He'd actually run into him again 2 months later on the Donghai campus. Fate? Hardly. It was too ambiguous for two grown men to be talking about something like fate. At this thought, Lin Ran instantly grew wary and eyed the freeloading bro in front of him. "Lost your wallet again?" he asked, subconsciously clutching his own wallet. He just felt like this guy had the face of freeloader. Wei Xiao waved his hands repeatedly, an air of righteous indignation about him. No. How could I lose it every day? I just saw you here, Benefactor bro, and came over to say hi." His tone was enthusiastic. Wei Xiao also felt it was an incredible coincidence. Today, he had finally given in to the repeated, earnest invitations from a group of second-generation rich friends he knew back in the country and reluctantly agreed to meet up. When he arrived at Donghai, he saw that the anniversary celebration was indeed lively, but those so-called friends were all fawning over him, eager to introduce him to pretty girls. To put it bluntly, they were all after his status as the eldest legitimate grandson of the Wei family, hoping to curry favor. On the surface, he was polite and smiled at them, but he had long since grown bored. So, he made up a casual excuse to slip away and get some fresh air. He never expected that just a few steps toward the academic building, he would spot a familiar figure standing at the entrance. Taking a closer look, holy cow, wasn't this the kind-hearted benefactor he'd met at the station? Although he had only met Lin Ran once, or rather, had received a noodle's worth of grace. As the esteemed eldest grandson of the Wei family, he was by nature one to repay kindness. Besides, during their last meeting, the casual chat they had at the restaurant table made him feel an incredible connection with his benefactor bro. For some reason, he just found the guy agreeable. This chance encounter on the Donghai campus left him pleasantly surprised and even more enthusiastic. He gripped the other's hand and shook it vigorously. "I was saying before, once you were back in Donghai, benefactor bro, we had to get together properly. I've been busy settling in lately and completely forgot. It's a good thing we ran into each other today. By the way, benefactor bro, are you a student at Donghai?" Lin Ran shook his head and explained casually, "No, I'm just here to look around." Wei Xiao had a moment of realization. "I see. You came alone? Huh, a parrot? Benefactor bro, are you here to walk your bird?" His gaze happened to fall on the chubby-headed parrot on the other's shoulder, and Wei Xiao was amazed. Lin Ran waved his hand. "I came with friends. No one was home to look after the parrot, so I brought along." As he spoke, he glanced at Helly on his shoulder. "Helly, say hello." Perched on Lin Ran's shoulder, Helly looked at the eldest grandson of the Wei family before him. Its pair of tiny, pea-sized eyes were filled with suspicion and scrutiny as it sized him up from head to toe. Then, its small eyes suddenly widened, and it let out a series of loud squawks. "Death! Death! Death!" In the next second, it flapped its wings and flew off as if fleeing the plague, zipping away to a branch on a large nearby tree. It refused to come down, no matter what. "Wei Xiao? Question mark. Lin Ran? Question mark." The eldest grandson of the Wei family turned to Lin Ran, completely bewildered. "Benefactor bro, your bird." Lin Ran was also baffled. He thought for a moment and said uncertainly, "It's probably been watching too much TV at home lately. It's seen a lot of fortune-telling dramas." Without the chubby-headed parrot's interruption, the two chatted casually for a few more sentences. Lin Ran remembered something and looked at Wei Xiao. "By the way, how are things with you and that childhood sweetheart of yours? Last time they were eating noodles at the train station, he had heard this guy's gossip. As a listener then, he'd heard a mountain of complaints. Now, he was actually a little interested. It would have been better not to ask. The moment he did, Wei Zhao's face fell. Don't even mention it. I saw her dad a while ago. He sees me as a talented and handsome young man and is dead set on setting us up. He even insisted I call her to catch up. His intentions, clear as day, he just wanted me to be his son-in-law. He spoke with great anguish. But then, Wei Zhao's expression turned triumphant. But I didn't fall for it. I just gave him some lip service. If I can avoid making the call, I won't. That woman, forget seeing her, just hearing her voice makes me tremble. And now I'm in Donghai, and she's in the capital. This is for the best. We'll never cross paths again. My life is saved, haha. Lin Ran listened with a fresh sense of curiosity. Is she that scary? Wei Xiao nodded vigorously, a pained look on his face as if recalling a terrible past. Scary is an understatement. She's absolutely terrifying. That woman isn't gentle and virtuous like your girlfriend, benefactor bro. She's a total demoness. As he spoke, he suddenly remembered something and perked up. Oh, right, benefactor bro. Is your girlfriend here? Last time I said I wanted to treat you two to a meal. Lin Ran glanced toward the academic building. Oh, she's here. She's in the restroom. I'll introduce you in a bit. As for the meal, let's skip it. We came with a group of friends and just had some snacks on the food street. As he said this, Lin Ran lifted the bag in his hand and politely offered it to Wei Xiao. I bought some snacks. Want to try some? Wei Xiao put on a righteous and stern expression. How could I? We agreed I would treat you and your girlfriend. How could I eat your food again, benefactor bro? Hey, are those little cookies? His sharp eyes suddenly spotted a packet of cookies in the plastic bag. Lin Ran subconsciously glanced into the bag, then realized and explained, my girlfriend made these herself. Wei Zhao's eyes instantly lit up. Whoa, your girlfriend knows how to bake. So virtuous. Then I have to try one of these. Lin Ran kindly tried to dissuade him. You should pick something else. A normal person might not be used to these. But the eldest grandson of the Wei family just laughed heartily. No problem. I have a good stomach. I'm not picky at all. When I was a kid, I ate something so terrible it almost sent me to the hospital, and I still survived, didn't I? He said with bravado as he took the bag of cookies and picked one out. Whoa, this cookie looks pretty cute. It looked a lot like the ones I had as a kid, haha. Then, without hesitation, he opened his mouth and bit down. It didn't budge. Wei Xiao froze. He brought the cookie back in front of his eyes to look at it again, then looked up at Lin Ran. He chose his words carefully. Bro, your girlfriend's cookies are pretty solid. Lin Ran was a little embarrassed. How about you just forget it and try something else? In the next second, the eldest grandson of the Wei family waved his hand and refused decisively. How could I do that? Watching Wei Xiao clutch his stomach and rush into the academic building, Lin Ran couldn't help but shake his head. He had warned him. Young people just don't listen, always seeking death. Then he glanced at the small cookies in the bag in his hand. He carefully put them away. Ms. Su Tieju's baked goods, just like her cooking, should probably be reserved as strategic deterrent weapons from now on. Except for specific scenarios like under Annie Feng's personal guidance or Brother Lu Jin is present. Under normal circumstances, it was best not to try them lightly. Oh, and there was the exception of Her Majesty the Queen of England is visiting. Just as he was thinking, footsteps echoed from inside the academic building. Lin Ran thought it was the Wei surnamed victim from just now, coming out so quickly. But when he looked up, he saw Su Qingyan walking back from the restroom. Lin Ran walked up to her. You're back. Su Qingyan nodded with an mm. Just as Lin Ran was about to tell his girlfriend about running into the freeloading rich kid from the train station, he suddenly noticed that Su Qingyan's face seemed a little pale, showing a hint of discomfort and weakness. His brow furrowed at once, and he asked with concern, What's wrong? Are you not feeling well? Su Qingyan nodded, then shook her head, saying in a small voice, It's nothing. I think my period is about to start. My stomach hurts a little. Lin Ran understood. Looking at his girlfriend, who was trying hard to act fine but couldn't help but frown from the discomfort, he immediately felt a pang of sympathy. Is it bad? Why don't we stop for today? I'll tell the others, and I'll take you home to rest first. Su Qingyan shook her head. It's not that serious. I'll be fine after sitting and resting for a bit. Hearing this, Lin Ran carefully helped his girlfriend to a bench next to the entrance of the academic building. Do you want to eat or drink something? Su Qingyan nodded obediently and looked at Lin Ran. I want to drink something hot. Perhaps because she was feeling weak, the girl, who was usually cool and composed, now had a hint of soft coquettishness in her tone as she spoke to her boyfriend. Lin Ran heard this and immediately stood up without a second thought. All right, you sit here, I'll go buy it for you. With that, he immediately turned and walked quickly toward the convenience store. Su Qingyan sat on the bench, watching her little boyfriend's retreating figure. A faint smile appeared on her face, and warmth flowed through her heart. In the past, when her period came, she had also occasionally experienced such moments of clear physical discomfort. But she always had to endure it alone. Now, she had a little fool caring for her. Although he couldn't really help share the burden, the feeling of being cared for was truly wonderful. At that moment, a dull ache radiated from her lower abdomen again, causing Su Qingyan to frown slightly. Her thoughts were interrupted. Even with her little boyfriend's care, the physical discomfort still soured her mood. Especially thinking that it was a rare weekend out with Lin Ran and everyone, only to be disrupted by this ill-timed period. It made the young miss of the Su family so displeased that she subconsciously wanted to call Uncle Zhou to take care of her Aunt Flo. Unfortunately, the retired Special Forces King was not here, and he didn't have that magical ability. But the current physical discomfort still made Su Qingyan's mood worsen. When in a bad mood, one subconsciously looks for a punching bag. Right, where was the chubby-headed parrot? Su Qingyan's gaze swept left and right, and she inadvertently looked up to see Helly on a tree branch nearby. The girl paused for a moment, then her eyes narrowed, and she called out to her stupid bird, "Come down," on the branch. Helly met its female owner's cold gaze and shivered. It was about to instinctively flap its wings and obediently return. But suddenly a mysterious sense of crisis washed over it. It made the chubby-headed parrot instantly alert, and then it shook its head violently. "Not coming down. Not coming down." Then it covered its head with its wings, buried its head like an ostrich, curled into a ball, and played dead, pretending it hadn't heard. The stupid bird was being disobedient. This made Su Qingyan's brow furrow slightly, and she was about to speak again. But the dull ache from her lower abdomen interrupted her once more. She drew in a sharp breath. Her brows knitted even tighter. Her mood worsened, and without a punching bag, she felt more and more like she wanted to beat someone up. As fate would have it, at that very moment, a set of footsteps approached from afar, accompanied by a cheerful and oblivious voice from inside the academic building. "Here I come, here I come." Whoa, sister-in-law's skills are truly earth-shattering. It's a good thing my stomach is tough enough to handle it. Bulls could eat something like that. Bro, let me tell you, that thing I just had was so similar to what I tasted as a kid. It was basically identical. The voice arrived before the person. A continuous stream of words, practically without commas or pauses. Just listening to it was annoying and noisy. Su Qingyan's frown deepened. For some reason, the voice sounded strangely familiar, and her fists seemed to clench involuntarily. So, she turned her head to look. At the same time, a certain eldest grandson of the Wei family walked out of the academic building, beaming and laughing heartily. He looked up and immediately saw the girl sitting on the bench at the entrance. They were no more than 6 or 7 meters apart. The gazes of Wei the punching bag and Su the demoness, childhood friends, met in midair. And then, the hearty laughter of a certain eldest grandson of the Wei family from a second ago came to an abrupt halt. The air seemed to freeze suddenly. It was dead silent. On the treetop, a certain chubby-headed parrot cautiously moved the wing covering its head to create a slit, peeking down stealthily. It then sensed a terrifying atmosphere spreading below. It was so frightened that it flapped its wings and frantically flew higher. Death! 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 Looking at the familiar figure of the girl on the bench, Wei Xiao was completely stunned. His mind was filled with a single thought. Ah! Swallowing hard, a certain eldest grandson of the Wei family tried his best to stay calm while controlling his wildly trembling pupils, muttering to himself for comfort. It's fine. My eyes must be playing tricks on me. Something's wrong with the way I'm seeing things. Let's try again." As he spoke, he was about to subconsciously turn back. But then he heard a cold voice from behind him. "Stop." A familiar, cold, and pleasant female voice. A familiar, extremely dangerous aura of death. Wei Xiao's feet froze in place. He slowly turned his head back to look at the girl on the bench, forcing a smile uglier than a cry. "Ah, Su the demon. No, Qingyan. Long time no see. Ha ha." Seeing her childhood friend after so many years, this unexpected reunion, and confirming it was him, Su Qingyan was also slightly stunned for a moment. After coming to her senses, she nodded and subconsciously picked up a brick from the ground nearby. Long time no see. A long time no see." The girl picked up a brick. Seeing this, Wei the punching bag, the esteemed eldest grandson of the Wei family, felt as though his entire life had flashed before his eyes, especially the countless painful memories from his childhood, which vividly flooded his mind. The moment he came to his senses, he was utterly terrified. Wait, hold on. Su the demoness, calm down. In his panic, he couldn't hold back those 3 words. Su Qingyin's hand paused. She looked up at her punching bag of a childhood friend, her eyes narrowing slightly. Only then did Wei Xiao realize his slip of the tongue. His face changed drastically, and he quickly corrected himself. No. I meant the beautiful, elegant, noble, kindest, and gentlest Ms. Su Qingyin in the whole world. He used up a lifetime's worth of flattery in one breath. Watching the girl finally put the brick she had picked up back to the side, Wei Xiao wiped away his cold sweat as his mind raced, quickly continuing, "Don't be impulsive. Let me explain. Yes, it's true. My family want me to go on a blind date with you, hoping we'll get together. Holy crap. Why are you picking up the brick again? Put it down. I'm not finished. There's a but. But, heart pounding, he watched as the young miss of the Su family once again retracted her hand from a brick. The sweat-drenched eldest grandson of the Wei family sped up his speech. But, I personally have no improper thoughts about you. After all, how desperate would I have to want to be with a demoness? Wrong. I mean, how could someone like me be worthy of the most beautiful Ms. Su Qingyin in the world? So you can rest assured, my family's wishes don't represent my own. If you don't believe me, I can swear an oath. I, Wei Xiao, guarantee that I will have nothing to do with Su Qingyin. I will resolutely adhere to the principle of avoiding her at all costs. I will never appear in Ms. Su Qingyin's line of sight in the future. If I fail to do so, may my matchmaking relatives be struck by lightning. After a round of solemn vows, pounding his chest, he finally raised 3 fingers and swore a solemn oath to the heavens. When he was all done, the eldest grandson of the Wei family cautiously looked at Su Qingyin with a fawning expression. So, you believe me now, right? Su Qingyin thought for a moment and nodded. I believe you. As she nodded, she reached for the brick again. Wei Xiao was once again terrified. You believe me, and you're still going to do it. Su Qingyin had already picked up the brick. Looking at her childhood punching bag, she explained patiently, I believe you, but I think a direct physical elimination would be simpler. Besides, my period is coming. I'm in a bad mood, and was looking for a punching bag. As she spoke, the girl prepared to stand up, brick in hand. It might hurt a little. Just bear with it, and it'll be over soon. Over soon? My whole life will be over soon. Wei Xiao was so scared he nearly lost his soul. He stumbled back several steps and spoke frantically, W8. Violence doesn't solve problems. We can talk this out. Besides, we're all adults now. For a young miss of the Su family to just grab a brick. What kind of image is that? If word gets out, what will happen to your reputation as a young lady? He pleaded with earnest persuasion. Su Qingyin paused, thought for a moment. You're right. Then, before a certain eldest grandson of the Wei family could show a hint of joy, the girl bent down and swapped the brick for a pinker-looking one from a nearby pile of discarded bricks. Wei Xiao? Wei Xiao. This time, he thoroughly realized the situation was hopeless. The eldest grandson of the Wei family finally got angry. Su the demoness, don't think I'm really afraid of you. I was just letting you have your way for old time's sake. I'm not the same me I was as a kid. Have you ever read Battle Through the Heavens? 30 years the river flows east, 30 years it flows west. Don't underestimate the young. Before he could finish, a certain young miss of the Su family had already stood up, brick in hand. The eldest grandson of the Wei family's heart sank, his legs went weak, and he almost knelt right there. I was just talking nonsense. Just pretend I'm a fart and let me go. Huh? Who's that? As he spoke, he suddenly looked shocked and pointed behind the girl. Su Qingyin subconsciously turned her head. When she turned back, a certain eldest grandson of the Wei family had already turned and bolted, running for his life, knocking over 2 trash cans along the way, fleeing in a pathetic and disheveled manner. The storm subsided. Watching Wei Xiao's hastily retreating back, Su Qingyin's face showed a hint of regret as she put down the brick. It was a pity she wasn't feeling well and wasn't in top form, otherwise she would have caught up to him long ago. However, the girl soon raised an eyebrow, slightly. No matter. He's in Donghai anyway. I'll let him go this time. If we meet again, a brick won't be necessary. Next time, I'll send Uncle Zhou. After buying a cup of hot milk at the convenience store on the Donghai campus, he thought for a moment and grabbed 2 packs of sanitary pads before heading to the counter to pay. After paying, just as he was about to head back to find his girlfriend, Lin Rant's phone rang. He looked at the caller ID. Freeloading rich kid. He answered the call, and just as he was about to speak, You're out? I went to the convenience store to buy something. I'm heading back. I can introduce you to my girlfriend. Before he could finish, he was frantically interrupted by Wei Xiao on the other end. Benefactor bro, I'm so sorry. Something urgent came up. I have to go. Let's meet up another time. I'm running for my life, bye. Then the call was abruptly ended. He could feel the panic from the other end through the receiver. Lin Ran was completely baffled. This freeloading bro, what was that about? It was like he'd seen a ghost. Shaking his head, thinking his girlfriend might be getting anxious waiting for him at the academic building, Lin Ran put the thought aside and hurried back. Back in front of the academic building, everything was calm and normal, as if nothing had happened. The beautiful and refined girl was still sitting quietly on the bench by the entrance. Lin Ran walked up quickly, handing her the hot milk and the 2 packs of sanitary pads he had just bought. The pads are just in case. The milk shouldn't be too hot. Try it. Su Qingyan put the sanitary pads in her bag, took the milk, inserted the straw, and took a small sip. Her brow immediately relaxed. Lin Ran asked with concern, feeling better? Su Qingyan looked up at her boyfriend and smiled sweetly. Much better. Lin Ran sighed in relief. That's good. Then, as if remembering something, by the way, I was about to introduce you to a buddy of mine, the one I told you about, who freeloaded off me at the train station. He's a fun guy, but it seems like something suddenly came up and he had to leave. Did you see him? Su Qingyan seemed a little surprised. Really? Then she thought for a moment and shook her head. I didn't see him. I just saw a punching bag. She had let it slip subconsciously. Lin Ran was puzzled. A punching bag. Realizing her mistake, Su Qingyan quickly changed the subject, acting as if nothing had happened. It's nothing. Are you tired? Sit down and rest for a bit. Lin Ran didn't suspect anything and let his girlfriend take his hand and sit down beside her. Just as he sat down, something hard poked him in the butt. He looked down. A question mark appeared above his head. Where did this brick come from? The young couple sat on the bench at the entrance of the academic building. With her little boyfriend by her side, Su Qingyan's mood instantly improved again. After a few more sips of hot milk, a warmth spread through her body and the discomfort in her stomach gradually subsided. The girl felt much better and was in the mood to ask a couple of questions about the freeloading rich kid he had mentioned. Seeing his girlfriend's condition improve, Lin Ran was also relieved. Hearing her question, he smiled and said a few words. He didn't go into a detailed introduction, just mentioned that he had run into the guy by chance while waiting at the entrance, and that he didn't know if he was a Donkai student. But when his eyes swept over the bag of cookies, Lin Ran added, he tried your cookies just now. He gave them a very high rating. This was mainly to coax his girlfriend and make her happy. Su Qingyan raised an eyebrow, a look of surprise on her face. After all, not many people appreciated her culinary creations. It seemed that this freeloading bro had good taste. Although she hadn't met him in person, the young miss of the Su family already had a good impression of him. We can meet him next time if there's a chance, Su Qingyan commented. Lin Ran nodded happily. There will be. He then looked around, a little regretful. I wonder what happened to him just now. He left in such a hurry. I wanted him to see just how beautiful my girlfriend is. Last time they chatted, the guy had sworn up and down that his childhood sweetheart was devastatingly beautiful. Although she had a dangerous temper, her looks were unmatched. Lin Ran still remembered this and wanted a chance to open that kid's eyes and show him what true beauty was. Seeing her boyfriend's regretful muttering, the corners of Su Qingyan's lips curved up. She playfully squeezed Lin Ran's palm. It's fine. We'll arrange to meet him next time. I'll help you show off. Lin Ran also grinned and nodded. It was getting late. The two stood up from the bench, ready to meet up with their friend from the 2 dorms. At that moment, the chubby-headed parrot on the tree branch flapped its wings and flew back, landing on its male owner's shoulder. Lin Ran glanced at Helly on his shoulder. So you know how to come back? By the way, did you see that bro when he left just now? He still felt that the freeloading bro's departure was abrupt and strange. He casually asked his stupid bird, hoping to get some information. Helly glanced at its male owner, then at its female owner beside him. Then it thought of the male human with the look of death on his face just now. The chubby-headed parrot's little brain worked hard, roughly figuring out the relationships between the characters. Then it flapped its wings twice and met its male owner's gaze with a righteous air. Didn't see. Nothing happened. Su Qingyan glanced over and commented, stupid bird. Lin Ran also shook his head helplessly. Forget it, let's go. He then took Su Qingyan's hand, and the young couple walked away side by side with their stupid bird. Perched on someone's shoulder, the chubby-headed parrot nonchalantly preened its feathers. Stupid? As an excellent parrot that had binge-watched countless melodramatic TV shows at home, the scene just now was a real-life version of a TV drama. It was eagerly waiting for the sequel. If it revealed everything now, what would it watch next? At that moment, the chubby-headed parrot's eyes were shining brightly. It felt that not only was it not stupid, it was actually a genius. Before long, Lin Ran and Su Qingyan found the others from their 2 dorms. The large group reassembled. It was almost lunchtime. Everyone had already eaten a lot of snacks from the stalls on the food street while exploring the Donkai anniversary celebration, so they weren't too hungry. But the final of the HUGGED Cup was at 2 in the afternoon, and there was still a lot of time to kill. So, the group left the campus and found a cafe near Donkai University. They got a private booth, had lunch, and could also rest. During the meal, everyone chatted and enthusiastically shared their experiences from the Donkai anniversary celebration. The girls all praised Dongsai's campus environment, regretting that they had forgotten to bring a camera and saying they could come back for photos next time. Ma Xiaoshui also praised the quality of the girls at Donkai. With his silver tongue, Shui successfully got the contact information of a full 6 Donkai girls. Of course, he was also rejected 23 times. He was almost chased and beaten twice when he ran into girls with boyfriends. And 3 of the 6 contact numbers were fake. It's fine. Getting 3 real ones is enough. Ma Xiaoshui was still optimistic and triumphant, his mental abacus clicking away. I only hit on 30-something girls and got 3 numbers. That's a 10% success rate. If I hit on 300, wouldn't I be able to date 30 girls? The others at the table couldn't help but roll their eyes. You're really a little math genius. With math skills like that, you should be taken out and shot. Shuai's results were nothing new to the group. The group then turned their attention to Ding Han. How did little Ding do today? Did you successfully talk to any girls? All eyes fell on Ding Han. Ding Han looked embarrassed and ashamed, his head hung low. Beside him, Ma Xiaoshui gloated. Don't even mention it. Old Fourth's biggest achievement today was learning the location of every single restroom in Dongsai's academic building. After Ma Xiaoshui's explanation, everyone understood. It turned out that earlier on campus, seeing Ma Xiaoshui's success in hitting on girls, Ding Han couldn't help but feel eager to try. He finally mustered the courage to approach a girl. He opened his mouth, but couldn't get the words out. The more he couldn't speak, the more anxious he got, and the more anxious he got, the more he couldn't speak. In the end, his face turned bright red. The girl he approached misunderstood and kindly thought he had a speech impediment. Classmate, are you looking for the restroom? I'll take you. Comrade Ding frantically tried to refuse, but he still couldn't speak. He grew even more anxious, his face turning even redder. The girl was even more convinced he was desperate. She kindly and insistently dragged him to find a restroom. The result was that after a tour of the Donkai anniversary celebration, Comrade Ding mustered the courage to hit on girls 8 times and was led to the restroom 7 times. He now had an expert's knowledge of the restroom distribution on the Donkai campus. The weather was nice. Su Changyan was also in a good mood. Today, he was going out to meet an old friend from the business world of Nan Province. They would sit, drink some tea, and chat. Both were men with fortunes in the 9 or 10 figures, old brothers who had fought side by side for over 20 years. It was called a small gathering of old friends, but over tea, projects worth tens or hundreds of millions were often settled with casual words. At his level, meeting with old friends was no longer about finding some prestigious, high-end venue. They were all busy people, and just being able to meet was a rare occasion. So why fuss over trivial details? So today, they simply found a cafe in the city. He had his trusted subordinate park the car. As the Su family's dedicated driver and bodyguard, the retired Special Forces King was also in a good mood today. Mainly because a few days ago, he had successfully found an excuse to make his boss forget about the Yunnan Daily incident again, a close call. And recently, the young couple on the young master's side had finally stopped causing any new trouble. Spring in Donghai. The sun was bright. The afternoon breeze was gentle. Life was peaceful. As he got out of Maybach with his boss, Zhou Zhen was also feeling content. He was planning to send his boss upstairs to the private room, and then he could take a break at a window seat downstairs. He would order a pot of tea, soak up some sun, and enjoy a rare moment of leisure. The thought had just crossed his mind. The next second, the retired Special Forces King inadvertently turned his head. Out of the corner of his eye, he caught sight of a familiar chubby-headed parrot, flapping its wings with a triumphant air as it flew out of the cafe entrance. The cafe had 2 floors. The private room booked by the 2 dorms was on the 2nd floor. When Lin Ran came out of the room, he was originally planning to find a waiter on the 2nd floor to ask for a blanket. But after looking around, he couldn't find anyone. So he prepared to go downstairs to the front desk. As he walked down the stairs, he heard the sound of flapping wings behind him. Lin Ran turned his head and saw his chubby-headed parrot trotting after him. Take me, take me. Lin Ran couldn't help but laugh. You're cold too. All right, come along. Then, the man and the bird went downstairs together. Lin Ran went to the front desk to ask for a blanket. The cafe's front desk staff was very polite, apologizing repeatedly. Sir, I'm sorry. The air conditioning temperature in our private rooms is not easy to adjust. We have blankets. They're in the storage room. Please follow me. I'll get one for you. Lin Ran also smiled politely. No problem, as long as you have one. As they were talking, Heli, perched on his shoulder, was lazily preening its feathers with its beak. It inadvertently looked up and suddenly noticed a birdcage hanging by the entrance. Inside the cage was a canary, its orange-yellow feathers smooth and elegant. The chubby-headed parrot's small eyes instantly widened. It flapped its wings and flew over eagerly. Beauty, come play, come play. Let's have some fun. Let's have some fun. It flapped its wings, hopping up and down around the cage, fawning over the canary. The staff member was slightly stunned and subconsciously turned to look at Lin Ran. Sir, this parrot is Lin Ran. Never seen it before, don't know it. Has nothing to do with me. The blankets are in the storage room, right? Let's go, I'll go with you. He hastily urged the staff member to leave the scene with him. Having a stupid bird was too embarrassing. And while Lin Ran followed the staff member to the storage room, the chubby-headed parrot was being rejected by the birdcage. To be precise, it had annoyed the canary. Ms. Canary swatted the chubby-headed parrot away with her wing. The disheveled, chubby-headed parrot climbed back up from the ground and flew away dejectedly. It was looking around for its male owner. Suddenly, it saw a familiar black Maybach outside the entrance. Heli's small eyes instantly lit up. Whoa, the parrot lord's noble steed. It immediately flapped its wings again and flew out excitedly. And so, the next second, a bird shadow zipped out the door, landing precisely and steadily on the hood ornament of the black Maybach. It flapped its wings with practiced familiarity, letting out an excited and loud squawk. Giddy up, giddy up, giddy up, the Maybach! Question mark. A certain retired Special Forces king. The air seemed to freeze in that moment. Seeing the familiar parrot, and seeing it land so brazenly on the Maybach's hood ornament, letting out that familiar, loud squawk, Zhou Zhun recognized it immediately. And then, the mind of the experienced retired Special Forces king, who wouldn't flinch even if Mount Tai collapsed before him, went blank with a roar. 1 second ago, he was happily planning his wonderful, leisurely afternoon. The next moment, he was in a state of shock, as if 1,000 alpacas were stampeding through his mind. Zhou Zhun almost suspected there was something wrong with his eyes. How is this damn bird here? At that moment, a certain chairman of Junsheng had already opened the door of the back seat and gotten out. He looked up and saw the chubby-headed parrot on the front of his Maybach. Su Changyin was stunned, a look of surprise on his face. Where did this parrot come from? Zhou Zhun hastily came to his senses, quickly turning to face his boss, trying to control his expression and remain calm. I'm not sure. Probably one the cafe keeps. Before he could finish, Heli on the Maybach's hood ornament recognized the retired Special Forces king and immediately flapped its wings, flying over happily. Big bro, big bro, big bro. Su Changyin looked intrigued, curiously sizing up his trusted subordinate and the chubby-headed parrot that had landed on his shoulder. This parrot, it's quite friendly, huh? The retired Special Forces king was about to break out in a sweat. He swatted the chubby-headed parrot off his shoulder and tried to explain calmly. Yes, the shop must have raised it well. As he was speaking, the dazed, chubby-headed parrot that had been swatted away flew back. Big bro has great skills. Big bro has great skills. Su Changyin grew even more puzzled. Why do I feel like it's particularly fond of you? Speaking of which, the cafe raises a parrot, but doesn't keep it properly, just lets it fly around outside. Zhou Zhun was also stunned for a moment. Right, why would this damn parrot be here? Shouldn't Miss and Lin Ran or that damn Qian Lu Jin be keeping this parrot at home? Suddenly, a flash of insight. A terrifying suspicion that he should have thought of earlier slowly surfaced. Unless, at that very moment, inside the cafe, a certain person who had just returned from the storage room with a blanket was walking back to the front desk with a staff member. This scene was clearly captured by Zhou Zhun, who had subconsciously turned to look. Outside the cafe in the afternoon, in front of the Maybach, the esteemed retired Special Forces king used all the knowledge he had accumulated in his life to rack his brain and compose a long speech of gratitude and praise for his boss. Chairman Su was very moved. Little Zhou, that's very thoughtful of you. He patted his trusted subordinate's shoulder, then added earnestly, but next time you want to thank me, we can sit down and talk. Always thanking me like this. It makes us seem a bit too intimate. Zhou Zhan was stunned for a moment, then realized and quickly apologized, releasing his boss from the wall-slam embrace of his sturdy arms. At the same time, he covertly glanced into the cafe, confirming that a certain person had already gone upstairs with the blanket. He finally let out a sigh of relief. Su Changyan straightened his collar and smiled at his trusted subordinate. All right, let's go in. With that, he took the lead and walked into the cafe. Zhou Zhan quickly followed. While his boss was at the front desk talking to the staff about a private room, he quickly took out his phone and sent a text message to his young miss. A reply came back quickly. Still the familiar multimedia message. The familiar photo. The familiar girl facing the camera with a calm expression, making a sharp, throat-slitting gesture, accompanied by the familiar, concise text. Take care of him. The retired Special Forces King's scalp tingled. Just then, his boss had booked a private room and turned to see his subordinate's strange expression. What's wrong? Zhou Zhan forced himself to remain calm. And nothing. It's just a trivial matter. The young master wants me to take care of the big boss. Completely unaware that his precious daughter was plotting against his life, Su Changyan nodded casually, not probing further, and gave an order to his subordinate. The room is booked. You can wait downstairs. I'll go up on myself. Zhou Zhan was about to subconsciously nod when a jolt of alarm went through him. He blurted out anxiously, "No." Su Changyan, who was about to walk toward the stairs, was stopped in his tracks. He turned around with a questioning look. No? What's no? A certain retired Special Forces King was about to break out in a sweat. His mind raced, and in a moment of inspiration, he came up with a reason. I'll go with you. In case there's danger. Su Changyan was stunned, then couldn't help but laugh. You've been a soldier for too long, still so cautious. What danger could there be in a cafe? Zhou Zhan persisted stubbornly. Protecting you is my job. Just in case. Su Changyan was moved again. Looking at his trusted subordinate, he said with some emotion, After all these years, you're still so dedicated. All right, let's go up together. With that, he prepared to walk toward the stairs again. Zhou Zhan sighed in relief and was about to follow. Suddenly, he faintly heard a voice from upstairs. Helly? Helly. The voice came closer, accompanied by footsteps. It seemed a handsome young man was walking back toward the stairs. Su Changyan hadn't heard clearly yet, but a certain former ace scout of a retired soldier had already keenly caught the movement upstairs. In an instant, Zhou Zhan's heart rate shot up to 360. Without thinking, he reached out and grabbed his boss. Chairman Su, don't go up yet. Su Changyan was pulled back, nearly coming face to face with Zhou Zhan. When he came to his senses, he was utterly bewildered, looking at his trusted subordinate. Question mark. First, he wouldn't let him go up alone. Now, he wouldn't let him go up at all? The retired Special Forces King swallowed hard and, in his panic, quickly came up with another excuse. Your cigarettes are missing. They're in the car. You go get them. I'll go up and check the room for you. Su Changyan was stunned, then subconsciously nodded. All right, my friend also likes my Furong Wang cigarettes. Seeing the footsteps upstairs getting closer, the anxious Zhou Zhan nodded quickly. Yes, then you should hurry. Don't delay. Chairman Su was confusedly urged to turn and leave the cafe. Without time to breathe a sigh of relief, Zhou Zhan rushed up the stairs, taking 2 steps at a time. He looked up and saw Lin Ran walking down toward him. Lin Ran also saw Zhou Zhan at this time, a look of surprise on his face. Uncle Zhou, what a coincidence. What are you doing here? Before he could finish, Zhou Zhan, wiping away sweat, quickly interrupted. Oh, it's nothing. I was just passing by to wipe my butt. No, I mean to have a meal. W, what are you doing downstairs? Lin Ran casually explained. Helly flew downstairs just now. I'm looking for it. He was about to continue downstairs. Helly, in the next second, a certain retired Special Forces King blocked his way. Don't. Teach, this is a small matter. You don't need to trouble yourself. You go upstairs first. I'll help you. Lin Ran started to laugh. It's fine. I can find it myself. As he was speaking, he happened to see the chubby-headed parrot perched on a beam on the first-floor ceiling. Hey, I see it. How did it fly so high? Helly, come back. He was about to walk downstairs. Before he could finish, a figure suddenly flashed before his eyes and disappeared. In the next second, a certain retired Special Forces King suddenly launched himself into the air with astonishing jumping power, leaping 2 meters high, pushing off the wall to go even higher. He reached out and grabbed the chubby-headed parrot from the beam before it could react. Helly! In the next second, The sweat-drenched Zhou was already holding the still-dazed, chubby-headed parrot and handing it back to a certain person. "It's back." Lin ran. Question mark. He subconsciously took the chubby-headed parrot and was about to thank Uncle Zhou. But the retired Special Forces king was already hastily pushing him upstairs. You're welcome. It's nothing, we're family." "All right. You and Miss have a good meal. If you need anything, just give me a call. No need to come out yourself." A certain person was thus confusedly pushed upstairs. And watching Lin Ran go back upstairs and disappear from sight, the retired Special Forces king let out a long sigh of relief, feeling as if he had just survived a great disaster, a narrow escape from death. At the same time, in the private room on the second floor, Lin Ran had just pushed the door open, casually tossed the chubby-headed parrot aside, and then returned to his girlfriend's side, a thoughtful expression on his face. Su Qingyan looked at her little boyfriend. "What's wrong?" Lin Ran shook his head. "Nothing, I just ran into Uncle Zhou downstairs." Su Qingyan raised an eyebrow, her expression unchanged. "Really, what a coincidence." Lin Ran hummed in agreement, paused, frowned in thought, and then looked up at Su Qingyan. "I feel like, is it possible that your dad is here too?" Lin Ran's guess was well-founded. On one hand, he knew that the retired Special Forces king was the Su family's dedicated driver and the personal bodyguard of the Junxing chairman. He was usually inseparable from his future father-in-law. On the other hand, when he saw him at the staircase just now, he felt that Uncle Zhou's expression and state were a bit strange. Although he looked calm, his eyes seemed to be constantly trembling. Hearing Lin Ran's words, Su Qingyan's expression paused for a moment, then quickly returned to her usual calm. "He wouldn't be. He's very busy usually. He doesn't have the time to come to a place like this." Lin Ran nodded, but he still felt a little doubtful and couldn't help but ponder if his future father-in-law really was here. As the future son-in-law of the Su family, should he go and say hello? Once this idea took root, it was hard to shake. In the private room, his friends were still eating, drinking, and chatting cheerfully. The atmosphere was great. But a certain person's thoughts had already drifted outside, constantly wondering if his girlfriend's father was also in this cafe. The esteemed chairman of Junsheng, a name that had been legendary in his previous life. But the man had always been low-key, rarely giving interviews, so he had never seen him in person. In his previous life, they belonged to different worlds. In this life, they were destined to be connected because of his girlfriend. Lin Ran himself was a little conflicted. It wasn't that he was afraid of the man's billions and his prestigious title as the Junxing chairman. It was purely a sense of guilt for stealing his precious daughter and having to meet his father-in-law. But then again, Lin Ran subconsciously glanced at Su Qingyan beside him. According to his girlfriend, the Su chairman was an amiable person and had a rather good impression of him, his future son-in-law. He had even taken the initiative to want to meet him. In that case, he should be easy to get along with. Thinking of this, a certain person felt a little more at ease. Thank goodness it wasn't his no money for cigarettes, big bro. If it were that big bro's temper, and he saw the punk who stole his precious daughter, wouldn't someone die? After lunch, people started to feel drowsy. The gentle afternoon sun streamed in through the window. In the private room, the more energetic ones from the two dorms were still gathered, chatting quietly. The others were already leaning against the soft sofas, dozing off with their eyes closed. The air conditioner blew a gentle cool breeze. Lin Ran helped Su Qingyan pull the blanket up a bit more snugly to prevent her from catching a cold. The girl was still not feeling well after the meal and was resting her head on the table, preparing to take a nap. Seeing his girlfriend resting uncomfortably like that, Lin Ran thought of going downstairs to ask the staff for 2 more pillows. He got up quietly. Just as he stepped out into the corridor, he received a call from Cheng Binghao. On the other end, old Cheng was, as usual, talking to his chief strategic officer about Kaisen 001. There were only 3 days left until the website launch. The details were numerous and complicated. They had to be careful. At the end of the call, Cheng Binghao gave Lin Ran some good news. The company Lin Ran had asked him to help register, Launch Entertainment, had been approved. He would mail the business license and company seal over soon. Lin Ran thanked old Cheng. They chatted for a few more sentences and then hung up. After putting his phone away, Lin Ran was about to continue downstairs to the front desk to get the pillows. But something made him stop. Standing in the corridor, looking at the closed doors of the private rooms, his previous thought resurfaced. His future father-in-law. Could he be here? But this was just his own guess, and there was no way to confirm it. With so many private rooms, he couldn't just push open each door and ask, "Excuse me, are you my future father-in-law?" Shaking his head, Lin Ran came to the staircase and was about to go down. Suddenly, he heard footsteps from the far end of the corridor, getting closer. Lin Ran subconsciously looked up. The moment he saw the person, he was stunned, a look of surprise on his face. Big bro. Su Changyan, who was just coming out of private room, was also stunned. He recognized Lin Ran, and his face lit up with surprise. Whoa, little bro. A certain retired Special Forces king had taken every precaution, but he still couldn't prevent it. Father-in-law and son-in-law, times. Big bro and little bro, square root. A pair of in-laws with a complex and abstract relationship met again by chance in the second-floor corridor of the cafe. It had been over 3 months since they last met. This unexpected reunion was a pleasant surprise for both of them. At the staircase, Su Changyan laughed heartily. To run into you even here, the fate between us brothers is really something special. I'm here to discuss business with an old friend. What are you doing here, little bro? Lin Ran also smiled and replied, Nothing much, just hanging out at Donkai with my girlfriend and some classmates. We came here for lunch and a rest. Su Changyan's eyes lit up with interest. Your girlfriend is here too? He still remembered his little bro bragging about how beautiful his girlfriend was. It really made him a little curious. Just how beautiful could a taiju be? Lin Ran nodded, then explained with some embarrassment. She's not feeling well today and is resting now, so it's not convenient for her to meet people. Su Changyan understood and nodded. I see. No problem. Her health is more important. Then he looked at Lin Ran with admiration. You're a very considerate boyfriend, little bro. Your girlfriend is lucky to have found someone like you. As he spoke, Chairman Su's face grew melancholic. Unlike my precious daughter, I don't know what kind of punk she found, what kind of person he is. Hearing Su Changyan's sighs, Lin Ran's earlier thought was reawakened. He subconsciously glanced at the private rooms down the corridor. He hesitated for a moment, then asked Su Changyan humbly, There's something I'd like to ask your advice on, big bro. Su Changyan was slightly curious, then readily nodded. Go ahead. Lin Ran chose his words carefully, lowering his voice. I have a feeling that my future father-in-law might be here too. Su Changyan was stunned, then looked amazed. Whoa, what a coincidence. Lin Ran nodded, then shook his head. I'm not sure, it's just a guess. Then he looked at Su Changyan, seeking his advice. Do you think if he's really here, I should take the initiative to go and pay him a visit? A visit? Su Changyan's brow furrowed at once. He waved his hand without a second thought, decisively. The pair of in-law brothers chatted happily for a while longer. Chairman Su patiently taught his little bro various methods to guard against his father-in-law, as if he were guarding against fire and thieves. From his own perspective, he put himself in the man's shoes and analyzed his cheap father-in-law's thoughts and plans for him in detail. Finally, he didn't forget to earnestly remind him again. Everything else is secondary. Secure your girlfriend as soon as possible. Comrade Lin Akui returned the favor, offering his big bro strategies and analyzing the various tricks the punk who stole his daughter might use. Also from his own perspective, he thoroughly commented on the progress of the punk's relationship with his big bro's precious daughter. Finally, he didn't forget to cheer his big bro on. Keep it up. When you catch that punk, don't be polite. Get him. After their exchange, both were satisfied. They shook hands firmly, wished each other well, and parted. Then, Chairman Su went to the restroom. The other man also went downstairs, preparing to go to the front desk to get the pillows. After coming down the stairs, just as he arrived on the first floor and was about to go to the front desk, Lin Ran looked up and unexpectedly saw a familiar figure. Uncle Zhou, why are you standing there in a daze? A certain retired Special Forces king had just been frozen in place like a statue for a full 3 minutes. It wasn't until this moment, when a certain person walked up and called him twice, that he finally came to his senses. Then he swallowed hard, looked at Lin Ran before him, and tried his best to control the urge to tremble, but his voice was still a little dry and tight when he spoke. The person you were just chatting with. His voice was trembling uncontrollably. At that moment, Zhou Zhan felt like the sky had fallen. He couldn't for the life of him figure out how these two, whom he had tried so hard to keep apart, had ended up chatting. And so enthusiastically. In that instant, countless thoughts flashed through his mind. Was he exposed? Was it too late to submit his resignation? The mission, impossible, had failed. His glorious record as the king of Liaobei soldiers had finally been tarnished by a painful defeat. However, hearing Uncle Zhou's question, Lin Ran just had a moment of realization. Oh, that's a big bro I met before. He had no money for cigarettes, so I lent him some, and we got to know each other. He said it casually. Zhou Zhan, the retired soldier, was suddenly stunned. His mind couldn't quite process it for a moment. And no money for cigarettes? You met because you lent him money? Lin Ran nodded. Yeah. Then he kindly explained the situation to Uncle Zhou. As Zhou Zhan slowly understood the truth, his eyes widened with incredulous surprise. So, it's like that. So you and Sue. No, and the no money for cigarettes big bro, met by chance and hit it off right away. Lin Ran nodded happily in agreement, smiling as he replied, yeah, we get along really well. You could say we're friends despite the age gap. Hey, Uncle Zhou, why are you suddenly smiling so happily? Zhou Zhan came to his senses and quickly composed himself. In nothing. I am happy for you. More than happy. At that moment, the retired Special Forces King was ecstatic. A winding path reveals a bright new world. The terrifying scene he feared most had not happened. The big boss and Lin Ran had met by chance, and not only that, they had a good relationship and hit it off right away. Not only was he not exposed, but if their relationship was this close, maybe he wouldn't have to keep hiding it anymore. He could discuss it with Miss later, find a suitable opportunity to tell the big boss the truth, and wouldn't everyone be happy? His arduous career as a double agent was finally coming to a glorious and satisfactory conclusion. No more writing fanfiction-style intelligence diaries. For a moment, Zhou Zhan was exhilarated, his smile so wide he could barely contain it. He casually asked Lin Ran, so what were you two talking about that made you so happy? Lin Ran didn't hide it, answering generously, nothing much. The old bro was talking about his precious daughter being stolen by some punk. I was giving him some ideas, trying to see if we can catch the punk and then get him. Zhou Zhan. The other man then added cheerfully, the old bro is a nice guy too. He gave me a lot of advice as well. Told me to be more on guard against my future father-in-law, and to hurry up and secure my girlfriend first. Zhou Zhan. The retired Special Forces King froze again. The plot twisted and turned like a roller coaster, and suddenly, the roller coaster had gone off the rails. The ups and downs of life, for him, had become ups and downs and downs and downs. Lin Ran noticed Uncle Zhou's suddenly ashen face and asked with concern, Uncle Zhou, are you okay? Why do you suddenly look so pale? Zhou Zhan forced a smile, and nothing's wrong. He just felt a little bit like he wanted to die. 1 second, he was overjoyed and relieved, thinking he could finally reveal the truth. The next second, he learned of the explosive conversation between this father-in-law and son-in-law. If the truth came out now, it would be a world-ending catastrophe. He had thought he could stop being a double agent. Now it seemed he had even more secrets to keep. He might even have to become a triple agent, because he didn't even know how to explain this to the young master. How should he put it? Miss, your boyfriend is telling your dad to hurry up and get him. Miss, your dad is telling your boyfriend to hurry up and get you. Damn, that's actually quite poetic. For a moment, the retired Special Forces King was overcome with sorrow, his heart like dead ashes. And at that moment, a certain person leaned in and asked in a low voice, by the way, Uncle Zhou, are you really here alone today? Is Qingyin's dad here? Zhou Zhan. Is he? Or isn't he? Come on. Unaware of the tumultuous storm raging in the retired Special Forces King's heart, Lin Ran chose his words carefully and spoke to Uncle Zhou sincerely. I was originally thinking of meeting Qingyin's dad, to pay him a visit, but now I feel it's too rash. I'll discuss it with Qingyin first and wait a bit. So I'll have to trouble you to help cover for me a bit more, Uncle Zhou. The retired Special Forces King looked at Lin Ran. Then he looked up toward the second floor with a complicated expression. Mixed feelings. Zhou Zhan. All right, third update. Please send catalysts and gifts. The story is about to speed up and get back to the main plot. After getting 2 more pillows from the front desk, he went back upstairs. At the top of the stairs on the second floor, Lin Ran looked around but didn't see his old big bro. He guessed the man had probably gone back to his private room for his meeting. He didn't mind. He took the pillows and went back to his own room. In the room, the friends from the 2 dorms were already scattered about, fast asleep. Zhangao Broly Zhuang was using his sturdy, broad arm as a pillow for his girlfriend Tangdang. It had been about half an hour, yet his expression was unchanged, as if his shoulder wasn't sore at all. A man raised on jujube cakes was truly extraordinary. Ma Xiaoshui wasn't asleep. He was holding his phone, enthusiastically texting the girls whose numbers he had gotten at Donkai that morning. As he was texting, he suddenly exclaimed, "What the hell? Why is this a guy? This number is fake too." Lin Ran returned to Su Qingyin's side with the pillows. He gently lifted the arm of his girlfriend, who was dozing off at the table, intending to slip a pillow underneath. But the girl groggily sat up. Before a certain person could place the pillow, the girl's soft body lost its balance, and she instinctively fell toward him. landing comfortably in her little boyfriend's arms. Lin Ran was stunned. He was about to lean down and gently wake her up to help her lie down properly. But seeing her sleeping so sweetly in his arms, he couldn't help but be amused. This wasn't a bad way to sleep either. So much for getting the pillows. Time passed quietly. It wasn't until someone's phone alarm went off that the peaceful atmosphere in the room was broken. The friend from the two dorms groggily rubbed their sleepy eyes and sat up. A glance at the phone. It was almost 1:40. They all woke up at once, nudging each other and urging, get up, it's time, let's go see the debate." Su Qingyin also comfortably sat up from Lin Ran's arms, covering her mouth with her hand for an elegant yawn. When she opened her eyes, she seemed refreshed and her energy restored. Lin Ran still asked with concern, "Are you feeling better?" Su Qingyin nodded with an "I slept for a bit, much better." Then her gaze fell on her little boyfriend, and she looked up at Lin Ran, a curve on her lips. "Sleeping in my boyfriend's arms. Feels like there's an extra charging bonus." Lin Ran was amused. "You're fully charged, but I didn't dare to move, afraid of waking you. Half of my body is sore." Su Qingyin thought for a moment. "Then, I'll help you relax." "Relax?" Lin Ran subconsciously asked. "How?" Before he could finish, a faint fragrance brushed past his face. The girl leaned forward, her cool lips sealing Lin Ran's. A light kiss, a brief touch. Then, Su Qingyin raised an eyebrow at her little boyfriend. "Like this." Lin Ran smacked his lips, feeling the sweetness. "A good way to relax." Then he added, still wanting more, not relax enough. "A little more." This time, before Su Qingyin could respond, Lu Qingqing's resentful voice came from the side. "Please stop relaxing." The young couple subconsciously turned and saw that, apart from Li Zhuang and Mu Tang, all the other single friends in the room were looking at them with resentful eyes. "Please spare a life for your single brothers and sisters." After paying the bill downstairs, as they were leaving, the group saw the figure of the retired Special Forces King standing outside the cafe entrance. He stood alone, looking forlorn. A pile of cigarette butts lay at his feet. It seemed he had encountered something very sad. When Su Qingyin walked up, she raised an eyebrow at her Uncle Zhou and silently mouthed the question. "Taken care of?" Zhou Zhun paused for a moment, then nodded with a great effort to remain calm. "Taken care of. But your boyfriend took care of it himself, and did a pretty good job. He and your father became sworn brothers, chatting and laughing, and exchanged some rather remarkable blessings." Losing control for a moment, the retired Special Forces King's pupils trembled again. When Lin Ran came over, Zhou Zhun looked at him with mixed feelings, words failing him. He could only pat Lin Ran's shoulder and say in a complicated, low voice, You and Big Bro get along well." Lin Ran subconsciously nodded, then suddenly felt a little puzzled. Those words, why did they sound so familiar? Hadn't Brother Lu Jin said something similar last time? Most of the others from the two dorms were seeing Zhou Zhun for the first time. The only exception was Ma Xiaoshuai. Last winter, at Lu Xiaowan's birthday party at the Huangqiao KTV, he had witnessed the retired Special Forces King's domineering display of single-handedly taking on everyone. Seeing him again now, he immediately approached with enthusiastic greetings, almost begging to be his disciple. "Uncle, can you teach me your skill sometime? My relationship with old third and sister Taiju is rock solid. I even played a part in getting them together." Familiar words, familiar keywords, successfully triggered the retired Special Forces King's nerves. So, it wasn't just Zhao Ke. Zhou Zhan's eyelid twitched. He gave Ma Xiaoshuai a look that could kill. "You had a part in it too, huh?" And so, without any further obstacles, Shuai happily secured a one-on-one private lesson with the retired soldier. Having received the promise, Ma Xiaoshuai was overjoyed and immediately turned to show off to his other friends. Only Heli, perched on Lin Ran's shoulder, suddenly shivered. Its feathers stood on end. Killing intent. Killing intent. Killing intent. At 2 p.m. sharp, Lin Ran and the others arrived at the Zhibei Cup debate competition venue on the Donghai campus, just in time for the final to begin. Donghai University versus Donghai University of Finance and Economics. The debaters from both teams were familiar faces, having met last week in the semifinals at Dongda's lecture hall, where they had witnessed each other's eloquence and style. However, the semifinals were held at Dongda. This time, it was Dongtsai's home turf. So, during the team introductions, when Enlon from the Donghai debate team gracefully stood up and smiled at the judges and audience below, saying, "Hello, everyone." Third speaker for the opposition, Enlon. The moment she finished speaking, the entire audience erupted in a deafening roar of cheers and screams. Anlan, Anlan, goddess, Donkai number one, Donkai number one. The scene startled the friends from the two dorms in the back rows of the audience. Lu Qingqing couldn't help but exclaim with admiration, Baozi's popularity at Donkai is just insane. It's almost like Qing Yin's at our Dongda. Beside her, Ma Xiaoshuai nodded in agreement. Indeed, then he added righteously, of course our sister Taiju is still a cut above. These words reached the ears of the Donkai students in the front rows, who were immediately displeased. What do you mean a cut above? As he spoke, he turned to look at them unhappily. Our senior in Lan's looks and charisma. She can dominate anywhere in Donghai. In the next second, his gaze inadvertently swept over Su Qingyin sitting beside them. He gasped in shock, stunned. Holy crap. His eyes had been opened. There really was someone who got us and couldn't dominate. Today's Jubei Cup final was a policy debate. The topic was, should the country implement a comprehensive free healthcare policy? It wasn't as simple and down-to-earth as the campus romance topic from the semifinals, but it tested the debaters' skills, eloquence, and critical thinking even more. Both Dongda and Donkai teams had top-notch debaters, were well-prepared, and were evenly matched in terms of strength. The audience below would sometimes fall into deep thought, and sometimes burst into applause and cheers. Of course, more than half of the applause and cheers were for Lan, the third speaker for the opposition, whenever she stood up to speak. Today's Lan was not only dressed charmingly, but her speech was also calm and composed. With a smile, she effortlessly dismantled the opponent's arguments and always found an opportunity to present her own, quickly helping her team solidify their position. The talent and charm she displayed truly befitted the title of Dongsai's Campus Belle for 3 consecutive years. In the end, although Donkai lost to the Dongda debate team by a single vote, Lan, as the best performer of the entire competition, was unanimously awarded the title of Best Debater of the Jubei Cup. When the competition was declared over, Lan was not discouraged. She still smiled gracefully and bowed to the audience. The audience erupted in thunderous applause and cheers. Although the Donkai students had lost the Jubei Cup championship on their home turf, at that moment, they couldn't help but feel proud and show off. Look, that's our Goddessin. Our debate team lost, but Goddessin didn't. Among all the universities in Donghai, who can compete with the number 1 campus belle, who is both talented and beautiful. In the next second, they saw a certain goddess in cheerfully running toward Lin Ran and Su Qingyin in the audience. How was it? How was it? Did I do okay? Praise me. The Donkai students watched in stunned silence as their campus goddess joyfully ran to the back rows of the audience. She came before a man and a woman, looking like a proud little puppy asking for praise. At first, their view was blocked, and the Donkai students only saw Lan seemingly talking to a boy. They were all shocked. Wait, who is this guy? Everyone knew that goddess and was approachable and easy to talk to, but that was always a polite and courteous gesture. Such an undisguised display of intimacy was something they had never seen before. The Donkai students were uncertainly sizing up the man in front of Lan. Finally, their gaze swept to the girl beside him. There's a girl too? Their gaze shifted over. The moment they saw the girl's face clearly, everyone was stunned again. Just a moment ago, they thought their goddess and was already the most beautiful and graceful. But this suddenly appearing girl, not only was her beauty and charisma on par with Goddessin, her cool and stunning aura was even more superior. Whose general is this? The shocks the Donkai students received today were destined to not end there. When someone mustered the courage to approach Goddess and carefully inquire about the man and woman beside her and their relationship with her, and Baozi's eyes rolled, and a mischievous curve appeared on her lips. Then, in front of everyone's almost petrified gazes, she intimately linked arms with Lin Ran and Su Qingyin, one on each side, and smiled sweetly. These two, the 3 of us, were a family. The Donkai students were bewildered. A family? Lan nodded generously and added with a smile, that's right, the kind that lives a sweet, happy, and loving life together. A family. Sweet, happy, and loving life together. Looking at the 1 man and 2 women before them, and subconsciously imagining certain scenes not allowed by Rotten Tomatoes based on these keywords. A group of Donkai students felt as if their world was collapsing. What the hell is this? Their campus goddess, who no one had dared to pursue for 3 years, and another top-tier cool and beautiful fairy, were both living with this 1 man. What kind of science fiction novel is this? Is there no justice in this world? A certain Baozi was getting more and more into it. Oh, it's nothing to be surprised about. It's a custom in our Yunnan. Ow, ow, ow. Sister-in-law, be gentle, be gentle. Halfway through her sentence, and Baozi's ear was pinched by a familiar slender hand. She immediately let out a string of yelps and pleas for mercy. I wasn't wrong. We are a family. I'm your most loyal little sister-in-law. Su Qingyan raised an eyebrow. That's true. Then the girl added calmly, since I've already started pinching a little longer won't hurt. Your and your brother's ears feel quite good to pinch. As she spoke, she pinched her best friend and little sister-in-law's ear, leading her out amidst Baozi's yelps. Ma Xiao Shui, Lu Qingqing, and the others saw this and quickly followed. In the end, only Lin Ran was left. He looked at his retreating girlfriend and foolish sister, then turned to look at the still shocked and dazed Donkai students. A certain person rubbed his hands awkwardly. Sorry, a little family matter. Embarrassing ourselves. With that, he also quickly turned and ran. No time to explain. Yunan could take the blame. If I don't leave now, I feel like I'm going to get beaten to death. The group came out of the debate lecture hall. It was just past 4 o'clock. It was still early. No one was hungry yet. As the host, Anlan enthusiastically suggested they go shopping in the nearby commercial street. Donkai was in the city center, and the surrounding commercial districts were much livelier than the desolate area around Dongda's old campus. The girls' eyes lit up at the suggestion, and they eagerly agreed. The boys' opinions didn't matter. They could just carry the bags. Shopping was indeed a hobby and talent exclusive to girls. When the guys from Dorm 520 were already carrying large and small bags, so tired they could barely breathe, and looked ahead, they saw the girls chatting and laughing happily, tirelessly heading into the next accessory shop. It was truly baffling. Such delicate and slender legs, usually complaining of tiredness after walking a short distance to the school convenience store and gasping for breath after running 800 meters for a fitness test. How could they walk so briskly when shopping? They should all be sent to the Beijing Olympics to participate in the race-walking event and win a gold medal for the country. Lin Ran was also carrying large and small bags, following behind the girls. At that moment, his phone rang. He looked at the screen. It was the freeloading bro, Wei Xiao again. He answered the call, and the voice of the eldest grandson of the Wei family came through the receiver. He seemed to have recovered now, and started with a torrent of apologies. Thumb under found 171. Nines.